Hello, and thank you for joining me tonight. We'll be continuing our read-through. I read through a lot of the exhibits, probably about 150 of them. I selected about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them. Because a lot of it repeats information. There's a lot of legal jargon and terminology in there that I'm deciding to skip over, since we went over in the original stream the summation of all of this legal jargon and objections and filings and stuff. It was all kind of outlined in the first stream, and we're just going to go right into the exhibits. Have some things pulled up here. I didn't check my window captures before we started, of course. So I guess we'll start with a clip to set the mood. Let's see, can we see this? Yeah, beautiful. We'll start with a clip. Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark, has come out. And his big crusade is my brother was killed. Yeah, bro, everybody did that. Nobody thought that his mysterious hanging made any sense. Mysterious hanging where all the cameras were mysteriously cut and all the guards mysteriously fell asleep and have no recollection of what happened that night. Was kind of obvious it was a murder. Whether, why they murdered him now, that's the real question. So I suppose we'll go over this first.
To learn who Jeffrey Epstein hung around with while he was alive. People who flew on his airplane. People who stayed on his private island in the Caribbean. Those who had dinner at his home off Fifth Avenue in New York. And to some extent, those names are coming out, not all of them. But we know a lot of the people who are in Jeffrey Epstein's life, and we have for several years now.
Finally discuss what now?
But on another level, that whole story seems like a bit of a sideshow, because it doesn't answer the main mysteries surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's life
I don't know
or
if
death.
it's a sideshow.
There are 3 of them, almost none of which is ever discussed in the media. The first is, who did Jeffrey Epstein work for? What did Jeffrey Epstein do for a living, and on whose behalf?
Nobody knows, but he had a lot of checks for a few $1 million apiece. Very mysterious indeed. No, this is live. This is live, bro. This ain't no replay. So let's go. This is the question that has the smallest amount of information. It doesn't really make any sense.
We don't know. The second question is, where did all the money come from?
Know.
Hundreds of millions of dollars that passed through his hands over many years. And where is it now? We don't know that either.
Oh, shit.
And the third question may be the most pressing of all, which is, what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? On August 10th, 2019, he was found dead in the Federal Correction Facility in Manhattan, in one of the most secure places in the world. Did he kill himself, as the government has claimed ever since, or was he murdered? Well, the overwhelming evidence suggests that he was in fact murdered, and that the U.S. government, including the Attorney General of the United States, covered up that murder. These are the questions that matter most, and they're exactly the ones not being addressed in the news media. Why is that? We decided to speak to someone who has insight into this question, and that is Jeffrey Epstein's only surviving relative. His name is Mark Epstein. He was Jeffrey Epstein's brother, separated by 18 months. He's a successful real estate developer in New York, and he's very concerned for his own safety. So the interview that follows is one that you will listen to rather than see. Mark Epstein refused to appear on camera, but we think what he has to say is worth hearing. Here it is. Do you think your brother killed himself?
Not now. No. When I first heard he was dead from suicide, I had no reason to doubt it, so I accepted that. But then after the autopsy And after Bill Barr made that asinine statement, I said, this was not a suicide.
But when you first heard the news, you thought it was a possibility.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, I accepted
Somebody
it as a
started
fact.
sending me.
I heard it on the news. The
breaking
government
news,
didn't
I gotta
notify me,
figure out
as they
what's
said. I
related
heard
here.
it on CNN in the morning of the 10th.
And you're his only survivor. You're the only surviving relative.
Yes, yes. He has no children and our parents.
All right, hold on. What is this? Man accused of kidnapping woman, holding her against her will for 4 to 5 years at Houston home. What is this? Killing me, bro. But, right. We'll derail for a second.
Veterans Affairs Secretary.
I've been told I need to look at this. So we're derailing for a second from Epstein. This is breaking news. Breaking news.
Okay, so what the hell is error? Basically, it's a water bottle that collides with
Oh, no one cares. So apparently this guy,
Here's a little something for you busters.
this guy
Yeah.
apparently kidnapped a woman and kept her captive in his garage for 4 to 5 years.
Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with that? Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. Hey to you. Don't even smoke crack. Bitch, use a mark. Boom, motherfuck that hoe shit.
All right, let's look up the story here. A woman in Harris County is pressing charges after she was kidnapped and kept in a garage for at least 4 years, court records say. Lee Carter, 52, is charged with aggravated kidnapping after court documents stated that he held a woman against her will at home near South Union, 5251 Perry Street. He was arrested on Thursday motel. Now, you guys can't see this. I got to change the capture mode. There we go. It looks the same as the other one. What in the hell? Oh, it's not the same, but it's pretty close to being the same, isn't it? Right, hold on. We'll transform this so everybody can see. Crop. Everything's on the left. There we go. And let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. According to court records, Carter stopped to give $1 to a pregnant woman he saw panhandling in Alameda, Genoa, wherever the fuck that is. Carter then returned and went to the location, offered to help the woman who agreed. Woman then says Carter took her to his home, then locked her inside his garage where she had been held for nearly 5 years. According to the victim, Carter repeatedly forced himself on her, made her take narcotics, and stopped her from leaving. Collins says a warrant was filed against Carter in April. In one instance, court documents state the woman texted police through the Text Now app, who took her to the hospital and then released her back to Carter. Jesus. There would be other times the victim would escape, but Carter managed to grab her and return her to the garage. When she asked to leave, Carter would force her to take drugs and other illegal narcotics, causing her to be physically unable to escape. Court documents say police fire units were at the home another time, and the woman managed to escape by breaking the window in the garage and crawling out. She was taken to the hospital where Carter picked her up to take her back home and lock her in the garage. Records state he boarded the windows to stop her from leaving again. According to officials, the victim was extremely malnourished, weighed around 70 pounds. She had been unable to shower for the past 2 months and rarely got a full meal. There's not enough information. So, breaking news. Jeez. That's pretty fucking wild. Some disturbing stuff going on. I don't know what's going on out there, bro. I don't know how they kept taking her ass back. That's just fucking nuts. But apparently it's this guy.
Especially when it's after them, I changed the game. Don't get it misunderstood, hitting it out the glass and the smoke all good. Paint, water.
All right.
Parents are gone, and there's no other siblings.
When did you start to think that he did not kill himself?
Well, after the
Story
autopsy,
doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but
both pathologists, the city pathologist and Dr. Barden, came out of the autopsy and they said this doesn't look like a suicide.
I mean, if she said she was like kidnapped and being held prisoner at this guy's house, to any doctor, they would have never released her back to the house. So I don't know. Very, very strange.
Suicide. It looks more like a homicide.
So what did you do then?
Well, I figured we'd have to look into this and see what's going on.
Were you shocked that he might have been killed?
It came as a surprise, yeah.
How could it have come as a surprise?
So as his only surviving relative, what did you do to find out what happened to him?
Well, I started to inquire about what took place. You know, the Justice Department was supposedly investigating the initial death conditions. But, you know, so I could see if he went for the hearing for bail and it was denied, then I could see
she
him
probably
taking
is
himself out
crazy
if
and
he
he
didn't want to spend
exploited
a
her
year
in
in
many
jail waiting for a
cases.
trial.
Yeah.
But not a few days before. That makes no sense.
In your conversations with him and in your conversations with the people who were in contact with him at the final weeks of his life, was there any indication at all that he was suicidal at any point?
No, I had no conversations with him once he was arrested.
I doubt he was
spoke to him the day
suicidal.
before he was arrested. He actually called me from Paris, just the usual, you know, how you doing kind of phone call. And the next day, his attorneys called me and told me he was arrested. And that was the last time I spoke with him. I didn't speak to him or see him while he was in jail.
But having spoken to his lawyers and people whom he communicated with from jail, did anybody say that he seemed suicidal?
No,
Sounds
everybody
like
was
a
shocked
straight person.
that it was a suicide.
Maybe a
Nobody
little bit.
thought he was going to kill himself. Nobody thought he would do that.
At Brooklyn.
So what's interesting is that the Attorney General of the United States at the time, Attorney General Barr, said publicly and then wrote in his memoir that he had concluded conclusively that this was a suicide based on two pieces of evidence. One,
I don't care if I have 35. I'm doing this really for my own entertainment. I don't really care if I have 35.
the medical examiner,
The bots
the
that come
person
out
who
tonight.
performed the autopsy, declared it a suicide, which is a lie. That didn't happen. And two, because he had viewed the videotape at the entrance to the tier, to the cell block where your brother was being held. What do you make of that explanation?
Well, when I heard Barr's statement that he said he personally saw the videotape and he concluded it was a suicide because nobody went in or out, that's when it hit me that he's covering this up.
Of course.
Because there's two sort of fallacies in that. One, I thought, why is the Attorney General of the United States, who I imagine to be a busy guy, why is he personally watching the video?
Here's the medical
Couldn't he have two? Well, they came out with the report, you know, a few months ago, and for 4 years we've been trying to find out what position his body was in when it was found, and we couldn't get an answer to that either. But in the report, it described how he was found. It said that he was in a seated position with his legs extended in front of him, and he was hanging from the top bunk. So if you picture that, you know,
I'm way too cheap to pay for 50 bots. You have no idea.
Basically, all of his body weight, or most of his body weight, was hanging by this noose around his neck, or the ligature around his neck. He had some weight on his feet, but the bulk of his 180 some odd pounds was hanging.
Right.
And they said when they cut him down or tore him down, his buttocks was an inch and a half above the ground. Again, which means his body weight was on his neck. Now, if somebody's hanging like that, the noose or ligature would ride up high on the neck and go high behind your ears.
Yes.
To where it was tied to. But
yes. supposedly he tried to sit as he was hanging himself, which is not really going to work. I mean, the whole physics of him hanging himself is not really possible.
The autopsy photographs show that the ligature mark on Jeff's neck is in the middle of his neck and goes straight back.
Yeah,
as
which
if
is
someone put a rope
inconsistent
around
with the
his neck
hang.
and
See, this hyoidal break here, or hyoidal fracture, is way too high. It's very high, and the angle of the break, it's not an angle at all. It's a straight line, which would suggest that the force was straight back.
Angled him,
not
like
from
Carlo
above.
in The Godfather in the car.
Or
Also, it's a pretty significant
the
break.
electrical cord to a CPAP
Or an electrical
machine.
cord or whatever was there, but it doesn't look like the fabric from a bed sheet.
So if it seems clear just from the photographs of his autopsy that he was strangled with, say, a cord, wouldn't you test that cord for his DNA?
Yeah, nobody seems to know where that is. Also, the way they said he was hanging, and again, he had to be there for at least 2 hours. When you die, the blood in your body settles to gravity takes the blood down to the lowest parts of your body.
Yes.
And they become blotchy from the blood pooling under the skin. So the back of his legs and his buttocks should have what's called lividity. They should have this blotchiness, like bruising.
Yes, his
look on the
thighs,
back of his
mostly the
legs
back
and
of his
buttocks.
thighs and buttocks.
The
Yeah.
autopsy photographs show that his legs are clear. So he couldn't have been hanging that way for more than, for 2+ hours. He'd have blood pooling in his legs. But that's not the case.
So did the report explain the discrepancies from the autopsy? That bones in his neck were broken that are not seen in hangings, but are seen in strangulations?
Those broken bones
The coroner, I believe, couldn't even rule this a suicide.
they're seen in strangulations, but because he had 3
It was
bones, it's
overwritten,
also
which is almost,
from,
I've never heard of that ever
karate
happening,
chop to the neck.
honestly, besides with the
Will
Clintons.
break bones like that. And that seems to be what I've spoken to military people, a preferred way of killing people is you karate chop them in the neck really hard, you collapse their windpipe, and that disorients them and incapacitates
Why wouldn't
them.
they
And then
poison
usually
him,
they
though, or
just
something?
break their neck, or you can strangle them. So the breaks in his neck are more consistent with a karate chop than what's called a soft hanging. When you tie something around your neck and you sit down or hang yourself from something soft, like, unfortunately Robin Williams or Andre, Bourdain, was it, who killed himself?
Anthony Bourdain.
Right, those are soft hangings, as opposed to, Brooks in the...
And a hanging death, hyoidal, none of these fractures, like the hyoid is usually what gets fractured, and none of these fractures are even, a lot of times you won't see any fractures.
Shawshank Redemption, who stood on a chair and...
But
So he
it's
jumped.
not consistent with suffocation and the physics of him actually being able to hang himself like that are almost impossible.
Off. That's a hard hanging. That will snap the bones in your neck. But that wasn't what happened with Jeff.
So Dr. Michael Baden, who participated or was present at the autopsy, has participated in over 1,000 autopsies of prison deaths.
I have never seen 3 fractures like this in a suicidal hanging. Going over 1,000 jail hangings, suicides in the New York City state prisons over the past 40, 50 years, no one had 3 fractures.
His fairly firm conclusion is that this was not a suicide. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. He was holding off on that determination, pending determination of how the body was found, which we finally, now that they say the way the body was found, it just only shows that it was not that way. The autopsy shows it's not that way, which further convinced Dr. Baden that this was not a hanging, not a suicide.
So here's what we wind up with at the end of all this. We wind up with a high-profile inmate in the most secure federal facility in the country's largest city who was somehow murdered, clearly with the knowledge of the Justice Department, and the Attorney General of the United States lies about it, which he did, and there's no reason to do that except to cover up the crime. So what does that tell us?
Spoon feed it.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
Spoon-feed it
That
in.
you could be killed in prison by the government.
Is it?
Yeah. Because again, my life would have been a lot easier if he committed suicide.
You think it was a David Carradine accident?
But, it's obvious at this point in time that
he paid the guards to hang him ultimate J mode.
And so it means somebody killed him. So who killed him and why?
Right. So in talking to all the people around him or people who were connected with him in one way or another in the final weeks of his life, have you detected a fear in those people in talking about this?
No, not really.
What?
I don't think they're fearful of anything. I was the one getting the death threats, not them. I don't think they did.
Why were you getting death threats?
Well, when Jeff died, people tried to link me to his activities in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Well,
again,
the brother
I had not
actually,
seen Jeff
from what
for
I've
7
read,
years prior to his death.
From what I've read, actually, the brother's pretty much in the free and clear.
In communication, we spoke.
Nobody
emailed,
ever testified. Nobody ever provided testimony that the brother received massages.
His inner circle, and he didn't know mine. But people tried to link me to his activities, and I was in contact with the FBI and the New York Police Department about the death threats, and I had at times had armed guards. When I went to the autopsy, I had armed guards with me to protect myself.
From whom?
From whoever killed Jeff.
But anyone who could murder someone in a federal detention facility obviously has a lot of power.
Yeah, well, I was trying to protect myself as best as I could. Yeah.
Do you fear for, I notice you're not appearing on camera. You've asked not to appear on camera.
Yeah, I don't want to be recognized. I travel a lot, and there's no need for me. This is not about me. This is about Jeff's death.
Did you have any inkling at all that your brother was involved in anything that might get him killed by a government?
No.
That's a lie.
I wasn't involved with his day-to-day life, and his troubles he had with the charges with the girls was from the early 2006 is when he first got into trouble, and he spent time in jail for that.
Well, that's a question that's occurred to me.
Anthony Bourdain was, don't tell me that. Anthony Bourdain was involved? Was he named?
I mean, he went through
that
all
would make
this,
me
whatever
sad
you think
if
of it.
Bourdain was named.
And then he was charged again for the same things, effectively.
Was he a chef?
I mean, from what I understand, he had a non-prosecution agreement with the federal government on that when he made his plea deal. So he believed he was safe from further prosecution. And then he flew home from Paris in July, and they arrested him on the same charges. And I believe his defense was going to be, well, hey, I have a non-prosecution agreement with the federal government. And supposedly they say, well, that was like the Southern District or some area. Well, as far as I know, we have one federal government. And if you make a deal with the federal government, it covers the entire country.
Has it occurred that maybe the point of rearresting him on the same charges was to get him into a facility where he could be killed?
I've shied away from speculating about all of this. I try to stick with the facts, but that's a possibility.
Well, that's his brother. It's an interesting interview. There's some obfuscation there that I'm not particularly comfortable with, but let's move on. Let's just move on right to the files. Let me fix this so this looks right. I thought I had this all set up from last time to be perfect, but apparently not. I don't know if there were any other killings, but there's definitely a lot of people that need to really be in jail after reading this. I'm going to skip over a lot of the early attachments because I feel like it's covered in these reports. And these reports kind of are, they're shocking. They really are shocking. I'm going to look here. Let's see. It's a little much. Okay, here we go. Here we go with the music here. This is the beginning of the investigation. As you can see, a lot of the victims are redacted out. Get a Killstream exclusive. Just saying, he probably harbored a lot of regret. Well, yeah, I mean, that's all probably true, but he was probably killed. Yeah, he might have harbored a lot of, maybe he was a human being, but he doesn't come off as a human being. If you read about him or have any familiarity, this guy seems like the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Let's see. These are all our Jane Does, but we're going to skip past this. So this is the beginning of the investigation, March 14, 2005. I received a call from a woman who did not wish to identify herself, later identified as redacted. She stated that her 14-year-old stepdaughter, later identified as redacted, possibly may have been molested in Palm Beach by a wealthy man. And I have a feeling this particular person has parents either with a lot of money or is already famous, because you will see this name come up a lot. And it seems like anything involving this particular victim is heavily redacted. According to Redacted, she learned of a possible molestation by a third party. She explained that she had received a call from the mother of her stepdaughter's friend. The mother claimed to have overheard a conversation between her daughter and a male friend. They were talking about Redacted. The conversation was about how Redacted had met with a 45-year-old man and had sex with him and was paid for it. I advised Redacted that I would like to meet with her to obtain more detailed statements and facts. Redacted stated she did not know what to do and had to discuss the matter with her husband. At this point, Redacted did not provide me with a callback number or any other information. She stated that she would contact me when she had spoken with her husband and Redacted's mother. Same day, received a call from Mr. and Mrs. Redacted. They stated it was all right to speak to their daughter via cell phone. Her mother, Redacted, had been made aware of this case. They agreed to meet at the police department later this date. And then it says, accompanied his wife, came to Palm Beach Police Department where they advised me they believed their 14-year-old daughter may have been some type of sexual relationship with an older male who resided in Palm Beach. Neither knew the suspect's name or address. Both stated that their daughter did not talk to them about the incident, nor would she admit to it. Yes, well, all text leaks look the same. Currently attending, stays at facility during week, comes home on the weekend. So it's some kind of boarding school. According to Redacted, she was admitted to school because of disciplinary problems there. Or it's a juvenile detention facility. I'm not really sure. It's some kind of PINS program or something. The facility also coordinates with the families to provide one-on-one as well as family counseling. According to Mrs. Redacted, she believes an incident occurred Sunday, February 6, 2005. A friend named Haley picked her up at their house, left. They believe Haley initiated the relationship with the older gentleman, though did not have any proof. Haley lives close by with her mother. Mrs. Redacted further explained that was introduced to Haley, where she was dating. So here we go. Mrs. Redacted told me of an incident that occurred on February 9, 2005. Got into a fight at school. Mrs. found over $300 in Redacted's purse, gave different explanation for a large sum of money. Initially, the school administration thought it was a drug-related, but then dismissed the claim. Since the day Redacted did not return to school, she ran away. Thursday, Friday, 2/11, then returned to her mother's house later that night after midnight. It was not until after she learned that the girl got into a fight with Redacted. The fight was instigated when Redacted accused Redacted of being a prostitute. I'm guessing her boyfriend, who has legal joint custody. Redacted, who has legal joint custody of his daughter. Redacted. signed the affidavit of prosecution indicating he wished to prosecute against the inappropriate sexual behavior with his 14-year-old daughter. So then we're going to skip ahead a little bit here. Where are my pages? It starts to get really interesting once we get down. I went to redacted. This is March 15th now. About 11 days later, where I met with white female, redacted. Also present was Kathy Back, redacted therapist. I'm guessing the school's therapist is why it's redacted. I gotta lower this just a little bit. It's very loud. It's a loud one. Okay, during an audio tape interview, I wish they would release these audio tapes that were made. Blank initially denied anything had happened, only admitted to going with Haley, later identified as Haley Robson. You will see this name Haley Robson a lot. Admitted to going with Haley, later identified. To Palm Beach to pick up money Robson was owed. So this Robson seemed to be the main operator for Jeff, bringing in these girls. She was the main recruiter, seemingly. And we'll see her name repeated over and over and over again. She ultimately admitted to knowing that Robson worked for a wealthy man and possibly did sexual favors for him. She also admitted that Robson offered her an opportunity to make money. Redacted identified Robson's boss as a white male named Jeff, who lived in Palm Beach, later possibly identified as Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted explained that she was first approached by Robson to go with her to Jeff's house when they were at Redacted's house. According to Redacted, she was not sure exactly what was going on with Robson, but agreed to go with her. Redacted boyfriend became angry when he heard Robson inviting Redacted to accompany her. Her boyfriend believed it was to pick up money the man owed Robson. Redacted stated Robson told her that she would pick her up at the house on Sunday. Was not sure on the exact date, but knew it was Sunday. According to Redacted, Robson, along with an unknown, possibly Hispanic female, picked her up at the father's house on Redacted. Told her father that they were going shopping. It was later confirmed by that Robson picked up his daughter. According to Mr. Redacted, Robson drove to a pickup truck. Robson drove along with an unknown female to Palm Beach. Sometime later on the way, a conversation occurred between Robson and Redacted, where Robson told Redacted that if Jeff asked her age, she would just say she was 18. Recalled that Jeff's house was on a dead-end street. All three girls walked up the driveway past what appeared to be a small guard security room. In fact, Redacted recalled a male approaching them, asking what they wanted. Robson said they were there to see Jeff. Male allowed them to continue walking to the house. Stated the man told them that Epstein was not there, but was expected back. He allowed them to enter the house via the kitchen. You'll notice it's the same entry pattern every time. He offered them something to drink while they waited. Shortly thereafter, Epstein and a woman described as a white with blonde hair entered. The kitchen, believed to be a woman, was Epstein's assistant. You'll see Epstein's assistant, Sarah, mentioned a lot. That bitch should be in jail. I mean, these are really this really gets sickening. The person that Epstein and Robson's friends knew each other. Described Epstein as being approximately 45 years old, a long face, bushy eyebrows with graying hair. Robson and Epstein left the kitchen, leaving Redacted and Robson's friend alone in the kitchen. They returned a short time later. They all spoke briefly in the kitchen. While speaking to me, Redacted became upset and started to cry. Stated woman instructed her to follow her upstairs, which she did, according to The woman led her to the room that had a massage table on it. The woman started to fix up the room, putting covers on the table and taking lotions out. She then told Redacted that Epstein would be up in a second. The woman left the room, and soon after, Epstein walked in and told Redacted to take her clothes off. As Redacted was telling me what happened, they looked away from me with a pointed finger, repeatedly pressing it into her thigh. Stated he was stern when he told her to take off her clothes. Said she did not know what to do, as she was only there. She was the only one there. Redacted took her shirt off, leaving her bra on. Epstein, dressed in a towel, told her to take everything. Stated she removed her pants, leaving her thong panties on. Epstein then instructed her to give a massage, pointing to a specific lotion for her to use. Epstein laid on the table, face down. As Redacted began to give Epstein a massage, he told her to get on his back. Stated he straddled herself on Epstein's back. Stated he exposed her exposed buttocks were touching Epstein's bare buttocks. As Redacted was giving Epstein the massage, he turned around and whacked off. Redacted later explained that whacking off was masturbating. Redacted stated she was disgusted by Epstein's actions, but did not say anything. According to Redacted, Epstein told her that she had a really hot body. Epstein excused himself to the bathroom, where she believed he masturbated again. Epstein returned to the room and told blank there he was done and gave her $300. They went back downstairs. They met Robson. Epstein said goodbye and they left. You'll see that $300 is more money than he usually gives. Robson asked blank how did it go, and asked what she did and what did blank do. When blank told her Epstein asked for a massage, Robson allegedly stated, "I know." Blank stated they went shopping and stated Robson also got paid, but that she did not know why, since she was confident that Robson did nothing. Blank described Epstein's house as a 2-story pink house with a Cadillac Escalade parked in the driveway. She describes the house. There was a door on each side of the sofa. Recalled there being a mural of a naked woman in the room, as well as several photographs of naked women on the shelf. Stated Epstein did not change in front of her, but did take his towel off, exposing himself. Recalled Epstein being hairy, especially on his chest. Also had a hairline that continued to his buttocks. Admitted to seeing his penis. I asked if she knew what being circumcised meant. She stated no. Then said she thought Epstein was on steroids. When she stated wee, she meant penis. Stated Epstein exposed himself when he took his towel off, placing it on the floor as he laid on the table. Said Epstein was specific in his instruction to her on how to massage, telling her to go clockwise, etc. Epstein got up from the table, went to the bathroom, where she heard him making what she believed to be sexual-type noises, moaning. Then returned to the room, where he again laid down on the table. Epstein then turned over and instructed blank to massage his boobs. Chest, I guess. As she did this, Epstein continued making moaning noises. Resumed massaging his chest area. Was now standing on ground. Epstein turned on his side. Started to rub his penis. Epstein being onto the small of her back, she massaged his chest, back, and shoulder area. Recalled Epstein ejaculating because he had to use the towel to wipe himself. Recalled Epstein having a noticeable freckle on his chest. Epstein then left the room and got dressed. She went back downstairs, where she met Haley and an unknown white female. Admitted to getting paid $300 cash from Epstein. Before they left, Epstein asked to leave her phone number. As they were leaving the house, Haley asked what happened and how much she was paid. She stated Haley seemed upset or jealous when she told her she received $300. Haley started receiving only $200 that day. and stated that she believed Haley was paid $200 for bringing her there. Robson told her that if they do this every Saturday, they could be rich. She agreed. They went shopping, though she's not sure where, possibly TJ Maxx or Marshall's. She stated that she never saw Robson again as she got into a fight at school. She had not spoken with Robson either, and her mother took away her cell phone. Smart mom. Stated she was afraid that Robson would retaliate against her or her family if she ever went to the police regarding this incident. Stated that her father's vehicle was recently vandalized. Admitted to telling Redacted what had happened with Epstein. According to, became angry and upset, punching a hole in the wall. Redacted guessed that it was a Redacted who told Redacted about the incident. Now there were rumors in school about it and what she did with Epstein. Okay, so everybody got exposed after this one. I then talked to about truth and lying. We talked about this color sweater she was wearing, denied having sexual intercourse with Epstein. She denied touching his penis and again admitted to observing Epstein masturbate, which is probably not true. Probably more to it. Agreed to cooperating with the police department. I met with Ms. Beck, advised families, copies of this interview. Her mother that something to the effect and slept with an older man for money. She stated she would not object to speaking with her daughter. It was the belief that everyone in school may have known about this because of the fight that her daughter had with Redacted and Redacted. I reminded her that this was an ongoing investigation. So, okay. She immediately recognized Epstein, pointed to him, signed a photo outline. I met with Redacted at her residence for the purpose of placing a controlled call to Haley Robson, spoke with Robson, and asked if she could arrange another meeting with Jeff. Robson stated that she would have to call him to make the arrangements. A copy of this conversation was placed into evidence. I spoke with Redacted, left the state to visit her aunt and uncle. The trash polls are kind of irrelevant. Let's see, what's the next? I met with Miss Back and I reminded Redacted of her conversation with Robson. During this time, Redacted initiated a conversation with me in which she admitted that she was not telling me everything that had happened during the time she was alone with Epstein. According to her, while she and Epstein were alone on the second floor, Epstein used a purple vibrator to massage her vaginal. Stated there was no penetration. It was on top of her underwear. I asked if Epstein ever asked her age, and she stated that she had stated, and she told him she was 18. When Epstein asked what school she was in, she responded that she was in 12th grade at Redacted. During the course of this incident, Redacted stated Epstein told her that Haley had worked for him for years. When we then continued with the control call to Robson at approximately 3:45. Robson was not home. Redacted was told that Haley Robson was at working a double and could be reached on her cell phone. Olive Garden restaurant, jeez. Told Robson. During the conversation between Haley Robson and Redacted, Robson asked what happened, stating that she had heard rumors that blank was going to press charges. Robson asked if they, meaning the parents, knew about Jeffrey. Robson claimed to have heard that Redacted's father had found out about Jeffrey. Told Robson that her parents, did not know anything about Epstein. Robson told that Epstein needed someone to work tomorrow and then asked if she was available. Robson stated she would call Epstein and then call Redacted back. During the course of these conversations with, for some reason, redaction, she would at times appear to be articulate and well-spoken, and would then start to act in an immature manner by looking around, not paying attention, drawing on paper. Blank would offer me a high five whenever she claimed to have told me the truth and the details of the afternoon at Epstein's house. Would sit in a chair with her knees propped to her chest, where she admitted that she did not tell me all the details of her encounter with Epstein during our first meeting. As a means of positive reinforcement, I would high five her. I made contact with spicygear.com and spoke with the owner, John. I emailed the photograph of the item for his opinion. He identified the item as jelly anal wand of some sort. This item is easily available at sex shops in South Florida. That was one of the things he recovered from the trash. Okay. This is where, I mean, this is already super incriminating. They already have, like, a case here. Just with this they could even claim maybe this is entrapment, but it's really not. I obtained a copy of voicemail messages dated 3/31/41. So April 1st from Haley Johnson, a female identifying herself as Haley, states she would pick blank up, take her to Epstein's house for an 11 o'clock appointment. A copy of this was placed into evidence. They're trying to do trash pulls. If you notice the address, L358 El Brillo, you notice that they heavily contested Brillo being the search results when they did the queries on all of her documents. They really contested that Brillo. There must have been a lot happening in this house. This seemed to be the main center of this ring with the high school girls. See. So now this starts to get very interesting. This is him talking about the recordings and the calls and if they're usable. Let's see. Trying to get into... There's a lot about trying to get trash from Jeffrey's house. Upon Robson's entry, the unmarked detective vehicle, I placed a tape recorder within the vehicle to record any conversations within the vehicle. During the ride back to the police station, Robson advised she is attending Palm Beach Community College at Palm Beach Gardens campus. Upon our arrival at the police station, Robson brought to the interview room. I explained to Robson that I appreciated her willingness to assist us and informed her that should she desire to leave at any time, she may do so. I further explained the interview room door is only closed for privacy. She understood. During the tape-sworn interview, she was told that she would have to provide a massage and should make $200. Robson thought about the offer and agreed to meet with Jeffrey. Molly, unknown last name, and Tony, unknown, picked her up, and she was taken to Epstein's house. Upon her arrival at the house, she was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein in the kitchen. She was also introduced to a white female known to her as Sarah. Sarah's going to come up a lot. She was led upstairs to the main bedroom, known to her as Jeff Epstein's bedroom. Sarah arranged a massage table and covered the table with a sheet. It's almost the same story, right? Jeff entered the bedroom wearing only a towel. He laid on the table on his stomach, picked the massage oil to be rubbed on him. During the massage, Robson stated he tried to touch me, and I stopped him. I asked how he tried to touch her. She said he grabbed her buttocks, and she felt uncomfortable. She also stated Epstein had a vibrator, which is large and white in color. Robson told Epstein, I'll massage you, but I don't want to be touched. Robson stated she performed the massage naked. At the conclusion of the massage, Epstein paid Robson $200. He explained, "I know you are not comfortable, but I'll pay you if you bring some girls." He told her the younger the better. Robson stated once she tried to bring a 23-year-old female, and Epstein stated that the female was too old. Shit. Robson also asked how many girls she brought in total to Epstein. Robson stated 6 that she could remember. It's a lot more than that. I asked Robson which one was the youngest. Robson advised the victim was the youngest. Robson stated every girl she brought knew what to expect when they arrived. They were told they would provide a massage, possibly naked, with some touching. Asked her if the victim was aware. She stated every girl she brought knew what to expect. She explained she knew the victim wanted to make money. She approached the victim and explained about going to work for Jeff. The victim agreed, and arrangements were made to bring the victim to Epstein's house on the weekend. Robson stated that she, and later identified as, picked up the victim at victim's house. They traveled to Epstein's house, entered through the kitchen door. They met with the house chef and Epstein's assistant, Sarah. The victim was introduced to Epstein while they were in the kitchen. Sarah led the victim upstairs. Epstein went upstairs after. Robson said she was paid $200 for bringing the victim to Epstein's house. Robson said the victim told her she was paid $300 for the massage. So this is the same girl. With a little recap from this bitch, Haley. Robson said that once she was visiting Epstein, they disapproved of the encounters with him and she stopped. Robson further said that Sarah still tries to call the house and leave messages. With the assistance of Robson's, we were able to identify all of these other victims. Sergeant Frick entered the room and explained that based on her own statement, she had implicated herself with bringing underage girls to Epstein's house. I mean, she was underage at the time, but I'm pretty sure that's majorly illegal on like every level. Robson was aware what she had stated and wished to assist further in hopes of receiving a lesser charge. Robson provided cellular telephone numbers for each of the girls she had mentioned previously. Additionally, she also provided possible addresses and areas which they lived. Robson was taken home in the vehicle. A tape recorder was placed within the vehicle to record any conversations within the vehicle. During the drive back to her home, Robson made a comment, "I'm like a Heidi Fleiss." Oh my God. Robson was dropped off at her house without incident. Sergeant Frick had received, so this is October 4th now. This investigation has been going on for quite some time. Epstein playing Halo Reach. During a sworn tape statement, stated she was taken to the house by Haley Robson. She was told she could give money working for Jeff. She could make money working for Jeff. She was told she would have to provide a massage for Jeff. Stated upon her arrival to the house, she was brought to the kitchen area by Robson. They met the house staff. Haley stayed in the kitchen. She was introduced to Sarah. Jeff's assistant was brought upstairs to master bedroom, to the, I'm guessing that's supposed to be master bedroom. Sarah prepared the room and massage table for a massage. Epstein entered the room. She provided a massage. She said she was weirded out by the incident involving Jeff. At the conclusion of the massage, she was paid $200. And they have, at the conclusion of the interview, and it was stopped, I was informed that Sarah had attempted to reach this victim via cell phone, voicemail message on October 4, 2005 at 10:59. Revealed the female voice who identified herself as Sarah, who requested her to call her back. Reference the police questioning. This voicemail message was recorded on microcassette. So they're already starting to tamper with the investigation. Blank stated she inadvertently told blank blank about the police investigation because blank called her to tell her about how she had just received a rental car from Jeff Epstein. He'd given her a rental car, a silver Nissan Sentra, to utilize to visit family and visit Jeff. Imagine this guy's giving these high school girls rental cars. I mean, this whole thing's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. Let's see. Now they have his house under surveillance and they're going through his garbage. They find like pieces of sex toys and all kinds of weird shit in the garbage, but nothing particularly conclusive. But they're going to raid the house soon. Let's see. I made telephone contact with blank blank, left several messages on voicemail. During the message, she advised she was not completely truthful when we met in person, but would like to speak to me to advise me on what had happened. She further advised she did not want to speak of this incident in front of her mother. So a lot of these girls lied at first. First time she went, Haley Robson drove to the house. They entered through the kitchen area where she was introduced to Sarah and Jeff. She was taken upstairs. I don't understand why this Haley girl isn't in prison for a long time. Brought out the oils to use. Jeff then entered the room wearing a towel. He lay on the table and picked out a lotion to rub on him. At some point during the massage, she tried to remove her shirt. She became very upset, discontinued the massage. They had a verbal disagreement, at which time she left without being paid. She met with Haley Robson, who was sitting in the kitchen, told her, "Let's go." Advised she received no money for that day. Also said that Haley Robson had told her she was uncomfortable with what was going on to let him know and he'll stop. She knew that more than you do. The more you do, the more you are paid. Several weeks later, blank advised. She agreed to be taken a second time by Haley Robson. Once they arrived at the residence, Haley sat in the kitchen. Sarah took her upstairs to the master bedroom again. She massaged him, tried to touch her buttocks. He couldn't reach her buttocks because she had tight belt and jeans. Jeff then rolled onto his back during the massage, attempted to touch her breasts. She discontinued the massage and was paid $200 and went downstairs where Haley Robson was waiting for her. She told Robson she wanted to leave. She never returned to the house. Okay, here's a new victim. Blank agreed to speak with us in the kitchen area. During a sworn tape segment, stated the following. On or about November 2014, she was approached by Haley Robson and asked if she wanted to make money, agreed, and was told she would provide a massage to a wealthy man in Palm Beach. Robson picked her up and drove her to the house in Palm Beach. She was brought into the kitchen area of the house. She further stated that blank blank and blank blank went with them. So more redacted girls went with them. They were brought into the kitchen where she was introduced to Jeff. Other females did what she was introduced to a helper of Jeff. The female described as a white female with blonde hair. That's Sarah. She stated that the assistant was familiar with Robson. Assistant set up the massage table and put out lotions. Jeff would be available in a minute. He entered wearing only a towel. So during the massage, he asked her to remove her clothes. She removed her pants and blouse. Was instructed to return to the ground, at which Jeff turned to have his chest rubbed. This is like his weird thing that he does. Disgusting. She did not want to look at his penis area because she was uncomfortable. Jeff removed a large white vibrator, turned it on. Vaginal area, you get the drift. When asked how old she was when this occurred, she stated that she had just turned 17. At the conclusion of the shower, blank was paid either $350 or $400. She stated she wasn't sure, but it was close to 400. Conclusion of the interview stated she never returned. She advised she was ashamed and uncomfortable. This is Jeff attempted to reach down her pants. This is another girl. It's all the same story, basically. This Robson bitch tells them, you want to make some money. They go to the house. They go in the kitchen. They're introduced to all the staff. Then his assistant bitch, Sarah, goes upstairs, sets up the massage table. He comes out in a towel. They massage him for a little bit. He flips over and masturbates and says, rub my nipples, basically. And that's what happens. And then it gets more and more extreme every time that they come. So a lot of these girls haven't made it through one or more, you know. But there are a few that I don't particularly want to read again because it's so repulsive. Man, it's already tying me up. As Blank was finished with the massage, they left the area. I asked if Robson ever... so they're eating lunch downstairs while this is all happening. As Blank was finished with the massage, they left the area. Robson told would be expected, and she provided a massage. Blank stated yes. Robson told her that a massage would be expected, possibly naked, possibly some touching involved. Has no formal training in providing any massage. Robson and Sarah took the upstairs to the main. Advice she doesn't know what happened, as Blank did not speak about what happened in the room. She received $100 from Robson for going with her to Jeff's house and recommending Blank, unable to remember telephone number. She considered, so this is a new one. So we'll start here. Microphone isn't connected. So this is a new victim. We met with the dean of students. Basically, he found her. They brought her in during school hours to question her. She stated that she knew Haley Robson, worked for Jeff in Palm Beach. Advised that she was there many times for massages. Asked if she had formal training. She said no. Said was expected of her by providing massage. She would have to remove clothing, but if felt uncomfortable, she would say so, and Jeff would stop pushing the issue, began providing massages, and advised she keep her clothes on. She considered Jeff a pervert who kept pushing to go further and further. Explained she would keep telling him she has a boyfriend. It wasn't until recently admitted to removing her clothes and staying in her thong and underwear to provide the massage. Explained Jeff wanted to be rubbed on his back recently, and he began turning over and have her rub his chest as he masturbated. Would try to touch her breasts. Would come to town. Sarah would call for an appointment. Each time she went, Sarah would meet her in the kitchen door area. She would bring her upstairs and prepare the massage table. He knew she was a soccer player and would be attending blank blank. Asked if he knew her real age. She stated that Jeff didn't care. This is the most recent massage she provided was on October 1st, 2005. During the massage, she asked Jeff if she could borrow one of his vehicles to visit her family and boyfriend in Orlando. He got her a rental car. She stated that he kept the vibrator in a closet near the massage table. Advised that she had been doing the massage for approximately 2 years, which meant she would have started doing massages for Jeff at the age of 16. Jesus. Sarah had informed her that Jeff had rented her a new Nissan Sentra. She would come by to the house to pick it up. So informed that she would have the car for a month. They inspected a lot of the car, of course. Oh my. So this next one is particularly disturbing. I don't know if I really want to read it all. October 10, 2005, made telephone contact with redacted. During a taped conversation, redacted was told of an ongoing investigation in which I felt she had information pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. She explained she met Epstein when she was 16 years of age. Advised she was working at Wellington Mall when she was approached, told her that she would have to provide a massage to Epstein, would have to perform this massage naked, thought about the offer and stated she could make $200 for only 30 minutes of work. She agreed to perform the massage and set the appointment for the same day. Remembered it was a weekend as she only worked at the mall on the weekends. She was taken to the house where she was introduced to Sarah, Jeffrey Epstein's assistant. Sarah took her upstairs to the master bedroom. Explained that as she was walking up the stairs, she observed several photographs of naked women along the walls, tables of the house. Further explained, she was brought into the bedroom where Sarah prepared the room by setting up a massage table and provided the oils for her rub. I'm reading as much as pertinent because I've already read through a lot of this. And some of it's too disturbing for me to read. Epstein entered the room. Oh. I just fucked myself up there. I just read that. Epstein entered the room, introduced himself. Epstein lay on the table, told her to get comfortable. She could not remember if he was naked when he entered the room or with a towel. Stated she provided the massage wearing only panties. Continued rubbing legs, thighs, feet. Advised he turned over on his back. Epstein touched her breasts and began masturbating. I asked if she knew what circumcised and uncircumcised meant. She stated circumcised when the penis has no foreskin in the head and it's visible. Said Epstein is circumcised. Began to cry on the telephone and stated she had been to his house hundreds of times over the 2-year period. She claimed to have made thousands of dollars during her visit. Stated to not remember how many times exactly, but said it was a lot. Became more upset. Instructed to have sex. She's also stated she was paid and instructed to have sex with Epstein's assistant, not Marcinkova, by Epstein. Also goes by a different name. I think it's like Nadia Marcinko or something. Epstein continued to watch them have sex, and he masturbated while watching them have sex with each other. Things escalated further and further. Epstein used sexual toys. Strap-ons. I'm guessing the woman used the strap-on. Additionally stated he performed oral sex on her. Oh my God. After taking several minutes to regain her composure, I explained that I would travel to meet with her in person as I felt she had additional information to provide. I met with Sergeant Frick and explained the importance to meet with this person in person. Sergeant Frick agreed and made arrangements for Detective Dawson and I to meet with her. Is this any worse than any of the stories Ralph tells us every day? Yeah, it's a lot worse. When you think of the implications of what is going on here, the literal human sex trafficking of these literal children is really disgusting. All right. I explained that as was present, she was not allowed to comment on it. Oh, so she brought her friend. The friend was allowed in the interview room during a sworn tape segment. Explained how everything began. She was brought through the kitchen area where she met Sarah for the first time. She was led to the master bedroom. Explained that as she was walking up the stairs, observed photographs of naked women all along the walls and tables of the house. Further explained she was brought into the bedroom where Sarah prepared the room. explained she remembered a steam room area, 2 large showers. Epstein entered the room from the steam area and introduced himself. Epstein lay on the table, told her to get comfortable, removed her skirt, and kept her shirt on. She could not remember if he was naked or not when he entered the room or with a towel. Epstein then instructed her to remove her shirt. She was not wearing a bra. She removed her shirt. She continued. Epstein touched her breast and began to masturbate. When Epstein ejaculated, that meant the massage was over. At the conclusion of the massage, she was paid $200. They walked together downstairs where Sarah and Blank were waiting. Blank stated she received an unknown amount of money for taking her to Epstein. Hold on a second. Epstein instructed her to leave her cellular telephone number so that he could contact her when he was in town. Blank explained she continued to go to Epstein's house and became a regular at the house. She could not provide an exact number. She claimed sexual activities did not occur every time she was there. There were times she went to dinners and parties with Epstein. Explains that this began to escalate more than massage. The encounters included bringing his assistant, Nada Marcinkova, and explained Epstein had purchased her from a family in Yugoslavia. Bragged he brought her to the United States to be his Yugoslavian sex slave. Advised he was naked in the bedroom. She entered and removed her clothing. Marcinkova entered the room from the steam room already naked. Instructed her to perform oral sex. She initially refused. Epstein offered an additional $200 for her to perform oral sex on Nada. Agreed to perform oral sex for an additional $200, explaining that Epstein would masturbate and watch them perform sexual acts. Things continued to escalate by purchasing sex toys, vibrator strap-on rubber penises, all used on her each time something new was introduced. Additional monies were also produced and offered. Was adamant that she perform all these acts, but there was an understanding with Epstein that there'd be no vaginal penetration with his penis. Explained that Epstein's penis was deformed. Explained that his penis was oval-shaped. She claimed when Epstein's penis was erect, it was thick towards the bottom, but was thin and small towards the head portion. She called it egg-shaped. And I have a little clip. It's relevant.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Could you please give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
Form, vague, indefinite, and I'm going to give you the first warning, Mr. Kubin, that these types of questions are not only argumentative, but directed in a manner to embarrass Mr. Epstein. If you continue with
look at his
question,
reaction. Read the body language here.
Sir, according to the...
I see a little bit of a light bulb go off here. That, oh fuck, I'm in big trouble.
Police department's probable cause affidavit, one witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the
Look
bottom,
at the body language.
but was thin and small towards the head portion, and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a...
Yeah, he realizes I'm
willing
fucked.
to continue.
I'm fucked. Look at his face.
Mr. Epstein, if you continue with this type of question, we'll adjourn the deposition immediately.
Sir, according to the police department's probable cause affidavit, one witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claim when erect it was thick towards the bottom, but was thin and small towards the head portion, and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated,
I bet it's adjourned. He's fleeing the country now.
I'm willing to continue.
We're going to learn a lot about what Epstein was up to. I'll be right back. I gotta pee. Get some coffee or something. I need just a little break from this.
I wanted to make a difference in my future with a career in healthcare. Bryant and Stratton College was the place to help me do that. They gave me options like working in patient care or in a medical office career. Ultimately, their medical assisting program was the right fit for me. They even helped college make financial sense, with aid available for those who qualify. Campus is a short drive from downtown and Central Ave. Visit bryantstratton.edu to see how Bryant and Stratton College is built different for you.
First snake dropped out of Bright College. First turned on thinking about the egg-shaped penis. I'm just thinking there's, you know, this egg-shaped penis thing. I'm noticing a pattern here with these freaks, and the egg-shaped penis seems to be. And it's also mentioned that that a lot of them believed he was on roids or something. And there's something there that is striking me that I'm not really sure what it is. If he was taking some kind of drug, so these rich guys take some kind of drug or something that this happens to them, or there's got to be an explanation for this egg-shaped penis thing with all these weird sexual offenders. I just notice a pattern there. Usually in good shape, but have an egg-shaped penis. I wonder if maybe some kind of metabolic steroids or adreno or what, something does that to them. It's true, they are all deformed pedophiles. Blaine continued the sexual encounters with Marcinkova. Epstein and her became a ritual. Would arrive at the house, walk herself upstairs, where Marcinkova and Epstein were waiting, would remove her clothing and join them on the bed. Explained text stories were brought out. Would begin using toys on each other. Epstein would perform oral sex on either person, depending on who was on top during the intercourse. Advised one day, was unable to state the exact date when the incident occurred. She came to the house after Sarah had informed her that Epstein arrived. She arrived at the house and went upstairs to the master bedroom. Advised she immediately removed her clothing, as Nada, Marcinkova, and Epstein were already naked in the bedroom. Explained that Nada and her had sexual encounter, included kissing, touching, oral sex. Remembered that she climaxed, asked for sheet or paper, and drew the massage table in the master bedroom where Epstein, Arsenkova, and she were. Epstein turned her onto her stomach on the massage table and inserted his penis. She became upset over this. She said her head was being held against the bed forcibly. She screamed no. Epstein stopped. She told him that she did not want to have his penis inside her. Epstein apologized for his actions and subsequently paid her thousands of dollars for this visit. Additionally, shortly thereafter, Epstein gave Blank a 2005 Doge neon blue in color for personal use. She was sore when she left. Advice: she had difficulty walking to the car after leaving the house. Outside of this incident where he inserted the penis into her vagina, there were no other penile intercourse. Really milking Epstein. Well, I'm curious. This is something very curious. This is a major event in history, I think, in that it's really exposing a lot of very powerful people that were involved with this. And we could read about the cover-up, and we could read all this through actual documents that don't really have any bias. Blank provided girl that she knew had gone to Epstein's house, provided the name. Bill still feels that this person still may be going to the house to massage Epstein. According to her, this girl is still sucking his dick. When asked if she had recently contacted by anyone in the house, advised she received an email from Sarah Kelland at earthlink.net, which is her email account. The email was just a hello, how are you doing type email. There had been no other contact from the house. The interview was concluded and left the area. The tapes and drawing were submitted into evidence. Detective Dawson I met with a redacted who stated during a warned that nothing happened between her and Epstein. Blank appeared nervous during the interview. I assured her that I had spoken with other people who advised differently. Blank stated she only went a couple of times and provided a massage to Epstein. She stated that she was brought to Epstein's house in March of 2015. Redacted brought her to work. Redacted has no formal training in providing massages. Stated that she provided a massage fully clothed for $200. I sensed hesitancy in her answers. I asked her if she had been contacted by anyone from the house. Stated she was interviewed already by an investigator for Epstein. He met with her on October 8th at Roadhouse in Orlando. He identified himself as Paul and inquired about the police investigation and left his telephone number for additional contact. Provided no additional information as it appeared to her responses were scripted. We left the area and returned to Palm Beach Police Department. Based on the information acquired during the interviews, the search warrant was prepared to entry into Epstein's home. October 18, 2005, I met with Judge Laura Johnson, who reviewed the warrant request. She found there was sufficient probable cause and signed the warrant. So at least we know there aren't that many. At least we know that there are normal people out there that are like good and honest people. Because it seems like the investigators, the detectives, and the lower court judges actually were pretty on the level and allowed this investigation to go to its fullest. But you will see that this investigation, once it reaches the Attorney General, gets completely shut down. we're going to learn a lot about, because I'm going to go over, I have testimony pulled, and we're going to learn a lot about his relationship with Maxwell and other people that were staying at the home, which is kind of fascinating. Announced a search warrant. Mr. Zeff stated that he's the designer for Epstein's home. He advised that he was contacted March 2015 to do a complete overhaul on the house. I wonder why. He advised he was on the phone with Mr. Epstein when officers announced a search warrant. Mr. Epstein was then made aware of the search warrant. Mr. Zeff advised his contact with Epstein was strictly business, and he has never witnessed Epstein with any girls except for his assistants, Sarah or Nada. I then interviewed Daniel S. Stated he has worked for Zeff for 7 years. He advised he personally worked on the New York and Palm Beach home for Mr. Epstein, who was previously met with Sarah and Adriana. Adriana is another one that will come up sporadically. Epstein's assistants in New York and Florida. Epstein stated they traveled with Epstein everywhere he goes. I interviewed Zara Bailey of 35 Riverside, New Jersey. New Jersey, Bailey stated she just arrived from Scotland and has worked with Zeff for only 1 month. She stated that she's never met Epstein and has not seen him. I then spoke with Douglas Shalettle, I think that's said, at 243 Riverside Drive, New York City. Stated he has been Epstein's architect for 7 years. That's a nice address in New York City. He further stated he deals with Epstein's assistants and speaks with Epstein on the phone. Joettel stated that he mainly speaks with Sarah Kellen, Epstein's main assistant who travels with Epstein. Stated he only has contact with Epstein when his services are needed. In Master Death, with Epstein's notepads marked Jeffrey Epstein, we located high school transcript from redacted victim. Also in the room was the dresser armoire where we located a bottle of peach-flavored Joy Jelly. Additionally, there were several photographs of young naked teenage girls within the closet, which was consistent with what the witnesses had stated. The massage table was located within the master bedroom. Videotapes were located beside the television, which were also collected. An itemized list of property and locations were prepared on the time of property receipt. At approximately 2:55, the house was secured. Exit of the residence was videotaped. Upon our exit of the property, I encountered attorney Guy Fronstein, who advised he was representing Mr. Epstein. He provided a business card and provided his assistance with the investigation. Due to Hurricane Wilma, things were delayed. Detective Riccari and I returned to Riccari. You'll notice they heavily invested. Epstein's people heavily investigated Riccari in particular, and Dawson, which is why their names are in the thing. But of course, the defense objected to their names being in the search results, and I think they got a lot of these taken out. I know they got Brillo taken out. And what else would they say Brillo for? It's not like they're buying cleaning supplies. Nobody's scrubbing no pots and pans. Immediate contact was made with 3 white males who came out of the house surrounding structures. These males were identified as Janis Banasiak, Daniel S., and Mark Zeff. Towel closet for search yielded negative results. The kitchen was searched and taken into evidence. Was a phone message book. Let's see. Photo of a nude female from waist up. Searched 2 bedrooms and adjoining bedroom, which were located on the 2nd floor. In the northeast bedroom closet, I found adult sex toys called twin torpedoes. Soap made in the shape of a penis and vagina were also found in the upstairs bedrooms. I searched the pool cabana. Photos were taken from the wall. Assisted in the search was Balsaniak's living quarters. Numerous CDs along with a message book was seized. Jeffrey Epstein available to be interviewed. I explained I would be interested in conducting an interview with his client as well as other employees that are employed within the house. Attorney Fronstein advised he would return my call once he received confirmation on the interview. Okay, here's a new one. So this is basically the same story. Epstein, you know, same thing. Girl taken to the house by usual suspects. Does a massage on the table. Got her to take some of her clothes off. And then started grabbing her titties and started masturbating on his back. And also pulled out a large vibrator and was, you know, rubbing it on her genital area. The stories are pretty much the same almost every single time. Okay. So here's a new girl. Another new girl. I mean, there were so many girls involved with this. The evidence was so monumental that you really have to, like, really shake your head and go, like, people are evil to really cover this up. Hold on, I gotta fix this. My microphone's all messed up. I gotta buy a new... I need to buy a new headset desperately. This thing is falling apart. Okay. She asked about any formal training in providing massage, so she said no. Okay. Made telephone contact with blank blank, who advised that she would be able to meet at her home. Robson would approach females who wished to work for him. Stated she was asked to work for him but declined and explained that work means give massage. She asked about any formal training in providing massage, to which she said no. She accompanied Robson and other females who were taken to Epstein's house to provide massages. She stated that she had been to the house approximately 4 to 5 times in the past year. She accompanied Robson with all of these other, the 14-year-old victim and blank. Each time the girls were taken over, they were previously told they would have to provide massages, possibly naked. They were also told that would Epstein require them to do anything extra that they were not comfortable with, they should tell him to stop. Stated Robson received $200 for each girl she brought over for massage for Epstein. When asked which girl appeared to be the younger, she replied the victim. As she stated, she was 15 years old at the most. She looked really young. Blank further stated each time she went to the house, she sat in the kitchen and waited with Robson until the massage was over. She further stated that the cook would make lunch or a snack for them as they waited. I asked her if there was anything that caught her attention within the home. Blank stated there were a lot of naked girls and photographs throughout the house. The interview was concluded and the tape was turned into evidence. This is another recounting. A different girl, the exact same story. Robson approached her about working for Epstein, provided a massage for him, $200. The arrangements were made. Robson could not take her that day, and the arrangements were made that she would be taken there and also attended and was familiar with Epstein. So another victim was familiar with Epstein and brought her instead of Robson. Recalled that she was brought there and entered through the back kitchen door. She had met with her assistant Sarah and another assistant, Adriana. Sarah brought her upstairs. She observed several photographs of naked females throughout the home. And basically, same story. Came out. Told her to remove her clothing. She did not. She said she didn't remove her clothing the first time. She states that she had returned several times after that. Each time she returned, more things happened. He would enter only wearing a towel. He would masturbate while she provided the massage. When he climaxed, the massage was over. He'd usually do it underneath the towel. I think most of the people, especially if the earlier victims, all described that he had never actually showed his penis. He would keep it under the towel because he was like clearly deformed in some kind of bizarre way. Like, it sounds really bizarre. So he'd like hide his penis at first, but he got more and more. You'll see that the earlier victims, ones that were earlier, like in like 2003, 2002, it escalated and became more and more aggressive. And these are basically the last victims that were interviewed. Most of these encounters taking place in 2004, 2005. It seemed like he was completely out of control at this point. And before that, he was far more methodical. The door was closed for his privacy. We solely appreciated her. Okay. Next, we got to go to the next one. So this is part 2. Epstein grabbed her breast, fondled her breast. He offered her extra money to have vaginal intercourse. She stated all that occurred on the massage table. Stated Epstein penetrated her vagina with his penis. Oh my God. Epstein removed his climax onto the massage table. Oof. Received $350 for the massage. I asked her if she had any formal training in providing massage. She stated she did not. Continued to state on another occasion, Epstein introduced his assistant, Nada, into the massage. I don't know why this bitch isn't in jail. This assistant that is performing sexual acts. How all of these people got away with this. Is Sarah, these assistants. How all of these people aren't in jail. I mean, even now after reading this, I mean, who cares if they were given immunity by the court? The court is not allowed to do things that are unconscionable to the public. I mean, that's basically a known tenet of the law, that the court cannot do something that is unconscionable. You cannot grant immunity to people who commit horrible crimes. It's just, I don't even understand it. How could you enforce a contract like that? If it shocks the conscience of the court, then it shouldn't be allowed to exist. Epstein stroked the vibrator massage around the vagina during massages. Said the last time she spoke with anyone at the house was with Sarah during the weekend. October 2nd or 3rd, 2015, stated that she had brought 2 people to Epstein's house. She provided the names of 2 girls. It should be noted that had been previously identified. So one of them was already identified and had been previously interviewed. The interview was concluded and the videotape was placed into evidence. Juan Alessi. Interesting character here. Okay. I traveled to 6791 Fairway Lakes Drive in Boynton Beach, Florida, in hopes of an interview with Juan Alessi, the former houseman of the Epstein home. As no one was home, a business card was left for him to return my call. When we traveled to in Miami in hopes of interviewing Alfredo Rodriguez, a former houseman of Epstein, we did not locate them at the home. I left a business card for him as well. A girl got one of the girls got a extension on her rental for $625 to keep the rental for an extra month. So he makes contact with Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez stated he had worked with Epstein for approximately 6 months after the previous husband left. Rodriguez stated that it was his responsibility to keep the identity of the masseuses private. Mr. Epstein had a massage in the morning and one in the afternoon. Rodriguez stated that he would rather speak about this in private. He advised me he would come to the police station and speak with me. Rodriguez stated he would return my call on Monday. I then made telephone contact with Juan Alessi. He advised he found my card on the door and wanted to know what I needed to speak with him about. I explained to Alessi that I was conducting an investigation on his former employer, Mr. Epstein. Alessi stated he would return my call shortly as he was in the middle of a project in his home. I also received a telephone call from attorney Donald Morell. Mr. Morell stated he represented Mr. Alessi and did not want me speaking with his client. I then made my telephone contact with the state attorney office and confirmed that the subpoenas would be issued to the former employees to assist in the investigation. I made telephone contact with attorney Guy Fronstein, attorney for Mr. Epstein, and explained to Mr. Fronstein, is it Fronstein or Fronstein? I think it was Fronstein up there, but Fronstein, that I would like to speak with Mr. Epstein. He stated Mr. Epstein is not in the residence in Florida. He would be here by Wednesday, November 16th. Mr. Fronstein stated he would return my call would Epstein decide to come into the police station for an interview. Oh my goodness. So here's another girl. Same story. Was brought into the house. She was introduced to a girl named Sarah. Sarah met her. Sarah brought her upstairs into the master bedroom. She put the massage oils out. He selected the massage oils. She provided a massage while he was naked. Upon the end of the massage, Epstein removed himself from the massage table and paid her $300. Stated she had only been to the house approximately only five or six times. Each time she went to the house, she was notified by Sarah, Epstein's assistant, that Epstein was in town and would like her to work. Stated she returned to the house and was again led upstairs by Sarah. She provided the massage clothes. Stated it wasn't very weird until later on. We asked if she ever removed her clothing to provide a massage. She stated that it was not until the third time that she went that she removed her clothing. She was notified by Sarah that she wanted to work. She arrived at the house and was led upstairs by Sarah. Sarah started providing a massage when Epstein asked her to remove her clothing. She removed her pants, shirt, and bra. She stayed in her thong and panties, continued robbing Epstein. Same story. He likes to be rubbed on his titties while he masturbates. After he, climaxed, he relaxed, got up, and told her to get dressed. He then paid her $300. Stated that the last time she went to provide a massage, she was notified by Sarah to come to the house and work. Stated she was now dating her current boyfriend and did not feel comfortable going. She recalled it was approximately January 2015. She said she went already thinking that this would be the last time. She went upstairs and went into the master bedroom. She met with Epstein, who was wearing only a towel and had entered the room to lie on the table. Epstein caught her looking at the clock on several occasions. Epstein asked her if she was in a hurry. Stated her boyfriend was in the car waiting. Further stated that Epstein got upset, didn't want to continue, and she would not be back. Epstein told her to leave as she was ruining his massage. Asked if she had any contact with Epstein. She stated she received $200 from Western Union in Royal Palm Beach. The Christmas gift. Advised she had no formal training in providing any massages. Also stated that she was 16 years old when she first went to Epstein's house. So, I mean, the pattern is pretty clear and the stories are pretty consistent. Every time it's almost the same, and then he escalates. Talk about PPP being fat. Just like Faith Bicker's diary. In a way. In a way, it kind of is. Just as disturbing. None of these girls talk about their father making a TV show or a podcast off of this horrible abuse, horrible situation. You know, Vickers would like try to be on TV and have a show and everything. Here we go. So they do confirm, and they confirm that this Western Union did in fact happen. They get records of it. Then they conclude this is more searching. Collecting of evidence. I don't think they found anything significant in the cars and garage. This is a new victim. During a sworn tape segment, she said that she met Epstein over a year ago. She was 16 and was approached by blank, was informed that she could make monies providing a massage for Epstein for $200. She informed her that she would provide this massage topless, made the arrangements with Epstein and his assistants. She was taken to the house by redacted. Stated that she entered through the glass door that led into the kitchen, recalled the bathroom, had a large pink couch, saw a matching shower, entered into the room wearing only a towel. She was only in her thong and underwear, provided a massage. Epstein turned, so this is a massage with two different girls at the same time. Both of them removed their clothing, remaining only in thong underwear. She further stated that Epstein lay on his chest on the table. Epstein selected which oils to use. Both blank and blank provided the massage on his back, legs, and feet. 40 minutes into the massage, Epstein turned over on his back and requested one of them wait downstairs in the kitchen area. Epstein instructed to finish the massage. As one of them got dressed, she started rubbing his chest. He continued to masturbate into a towel. Ugh. After he cleaned himself off with the towel, he instructed her the massage was done and to get dressed and meet him downstairs. She got dressed and met with Epstein in the kitchen area. She was paid $200. Second time she went to the house. Was again approached by the same girl, wanted to return to the house to provide another massage. They were allowed entry into the house, master bedroom. Basically, same story. Instructed her to get naked. Finished with Epstein's back and legs. Epstein then turned over onto his back. Began, well, he whips out a vibrator. Large gray vibrator with large head, rubbed her vagina for approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Concentrated on himself and finished. He got dressed and met with blank, who was waiting in the kitchen area. She received $200 for the massage again, said she never returned to the house and had no desire to return to the house. Was asked if she received any formal massage training. She advised that she had no training. Was asked if Epstein knew her real age. Stated he knew as he asked her questions about herself and her high school. Was aware that she attended and is still attending the high school. Interview was concluded. Suggested to inform her parents of what occurred. I left my business card for any questions they might have. We left the area and returned to the police station. The tape was placed into evidence. Officer Munyon and I responded to Palm Beach Gardens Mall food order court section to meet with this one. This one, okay, so this new victim, she had been at Epstein's house over 50 times. She began going. Asked if she knew about the ongoing investigation. She stated she was aware of an investigation and she was told by other girls that were interviewed. Additionally, she had several telephone conversations with Epstein's assistants as to what had been going on during the investigation. I asked how she was introduced to Epstein. She stated she did not want to disclose who brought her to the house, but she would respond to any other question. When asked her what happened at the house, she stated everything happened. It all began with massages. She provided oral sex on Epstein, and he provided oral sex on her. She stated he would also use massages, vibrators on the vagina. He introduced his assistant Nadia or Nada to her to have vaginal intercourse with the victim. Stated Nada or Nadia would utilize a strap-on to have intercourse with her. She told to masturbate herself and Epstein, and they also had while they had sexual intercourse. All of this was done at Epstein's direction. Could not provide exact dates. She had been to the house many times. Stated Epstein inserted his finger into her vagina. Ugh. She stated she did not have sex with him. She did admit to having sex with the assistant. Nadia stated not every time she went involved sexual favors. Sometimes they would just talk and she would get paid anyway. I asked her how much she was paid each time she went to Epstein's residence. She stated that she got paid $300 every time she went to his house. He was stating that she does what she does and did not want to introduce anyone else to what she was doing. Stated she had never received any formal training in providing massages. Showing a photo lineup in which Nadia Marcinkova was placed in position 6. She reviewed the 6 photographs and immediately identified Nadia Marcinkova as the person with whom she had intercourse. Additionally, it was the same person she watched have intercourse with Epstein. She signed the photo lineup under Nadia Marcinkova's photo as the person she identified. We then left the mall and returned to the police station. So we can skip past some of this because it'll be covered later in the testimony. So here, and we could also catch some inconsistencies here. So I'll read some of this. So he makes contact with Mr. Alessi, who worked for Epstein for a few years at the house and was mysteriously fired. It's implied for stealing money out of a cash box that he was given. But it's implied that there is more to the firing than it's let on, but clearly the guy can't talk about it and is not particularly willing to talk about it under oath, but he's a little looser here. It's a little looser here. I asked Mr. Alessi about the massages that occurred within the home. Mr. Alessi stated Mr. Epstein had up to 3 massages a day. Each masseuse that visited the house was different. Alessi stated that towards the end of his employment, the masseuses were younger and younger. When asked how young, Mr. Alessi stated they appeared to be 16 or 17 years of age at most. The massages would occur in Epstein's bedroom or bathroom. There were times he recalled that he would set up the massage tables either in Epstein's bedroom or his bathroom. Asked if there were things going on other than massage, Alessi stated there were times towards the end of his employment that he would have to wash off a massage vibrator and a long rubber penis, which were in the sink after the massage. Additionally, he stated the bed would almost always have to be made after a massage. Alessi was never privy to what went on during the massages. He was asked if he remembered any names of the girls that massaged Epstein. He tried to remember and was unable to provide any exact names of any girls. Alessi was asked about any contact with anyone from Epstein's organization. Alessi said he did speak with Mr. Epstein shortly after my initial contact to find out what was going on. Alessi also stated that approximately November 11, 2005, he was contacted by a private investigator from the law office of Roy Black. The investigator had called him to meet with him to ascertain what was going on and what to tell the police. Alessi stated that they met at the Carrabba restaurant in Boynton Beach and discussed the same questions I was asking him. I informed Mr. Alessi and Mr. Morrell, as this was an ongoing investigation and anything we discussed should be confidential. They both acknowledged the fact that the information would be kept confidential. It should be noted that the court reporter was present during the interview and would be providing a copy of statements to me when they became available. received an email from Mr. Fronston, who advised me he would not be making Mr. Epstein available for any statements. He did have some words that he wanted to relay on behalf of Mr. Epstein, and I telephoned his office and left a message for him to return my call. I received a call back from Mr. Fronston, who left a voicemail after hours, November 28, 2005, advising that he would return my call during normal business hours to speak with me. Reference the case, November 29th, 2005. Mr. Fronston, at approximately 2:30 p.m., November 29, 2005, I received a telephone call on the department-issued cell phone. Mr. Fronston stated he was calling to relay information that Mr. Epstein wished that he could relay. Mr. Fronston stated that he would not allow Mr. Epstein to speak with me at this time. He further stated, Mr. Epstein is very passionate about massages. He continued, Mr. Epstein had allegedly donated over $100,000 to the Ballet of Florida for massages. The massages are therapeutic and spiritually sound for him, and that is why he has had many, many massages. Mr. Fronston stated that he appreciated the way the investigation had not been leaked out to the media. I explained to Mr. Fronston that it is important to protect the innocent if the allegations are not substantiated. Mr. Fronston was told of the allegations that the private investigators assigned to the case had been portraying themselves as police officers, which they really can't do, even if they're licensed private investigators. You can't hear me. You could hear me just fine. I explained that my cell phone had been called by private investigators, but Mr. Fronston advised me he was not aware of that and advised they were under the direction of attorney Roy Black in Miami. Further stated Epstein had originally called Mr. Dershowitz in Boston. Very interesting. Dershowitz, who recommended Roy Black in Miami, who asked Mr. Fronston to assist. I informed him that if and when any charges would be prevented, I would notify him. The call was then terminated. So that's an interesting revelation in that the lawyers that are trying to strong-arm the victims and harassing the victims were put out by a guy who was who says he has no involvement. If I am muted, I don't know how, because it says my feed is fine. A review of telephone messages books. Let's see. So we can skip ahead here. Just another one for Christmas. Christmas of 2004. Epstein reach unsnapped her bra. You have told her to leave her telephone number. So it's another victim. There is something that's interesting in here. We then searched the bath area and closet at the base of the main stairs in the foyer. Inside the closet, 2 massage tables were located, as well as partial nude female photographs. These items were later seized as evidence. Nothing of evidentiary value was noted in the bathroom. Several photographs of nude females were seized as evidence. Douglas Shodel. Mr. Shodel was in the residence at the beginning of the search warrant. He was present during the warrant search and subsequent search. Had no conversation with him regarding the reason for our presence. So here, this is interesting. This describes how the place was stripped of a lot of the computers and stuff. Reminder, when Brian said he was coming back with a vengeance, his plan fizzled. Yeah, well, yeah, he was trying to get Elaine to give out people's addresses, I guess. I don't know, Brian. I don't know how smart that is. I observed a silver in color CPU with the left side cover removed, exposing the CPU hardware sitting on the floor next to a glass-type desk. CPU had no discernible identifiers or features indicating make or model. The CPU was powered off with the power cord not plugged in. The keyboard mounts were atop the CPU. It should be noted that the CPU was not connected to a monitor, printer, or other media device. On the back panel of the CPU, I observed an AV card with RCA jacks attached. This type of hardware would allow audio and video to be downloaded onto the CPU hard disk. The ends of the RCA jacks were unattached at the time of the search, and no external camera was located within the room. CPU was located on the right side of the desk that was held a flat panel LCD screen. The desk was held another keyboard and mouse indicative of a second computer. However, no other computer was found. It appeared as though a second computer had been recently removed, as the cable ends from the monitor, keyboard, and mouse were in the same area. A further search of the front room revealed no media storage devices, CDs, floppy disks, zip disks, etc. Of course, those were ancient even in 2005. But this type of media is commonly stored in an area where computers are placed, yet no media was found. After completing a search of this room, I secured the CPU and turned all items over to the evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via property receipt. I was directed by Detective Ricari to a room designated as the garden room. Observed wooden desk facing west. The desk held a flat screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, media card reader, and printer. However, no CPU was located. I wonder where all these computers went. All other cables were removed from the area where a computer had once been. Search of the desk area revealed no signs of any media devices. How much you want to bet that they were tipped off immediately? To remove everything. Detective Ricari directed me to a third location designated as Cabana Room, which is attached from the residence located just south of the pool. Observed an office type setting, L-shaped desk holding a flat screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, printer. However, no CPU was located. All of the cables were removed from an area where a computer had once been. A search of the desk revealed no signs of any media devices. Detective Ricari directed me to a second detached structure located on the southeast corner of the property. This area is assigned with single letters to identify a particular part of the room. The office area designated as Room B. I observed a powered-on Dell Dimension 2350 attached to an LCD flat panel monitor. The screen displayed an open Microsoft Internet Explorer browser with the URL address home.bellsouth.net. I observed no other active windows. In the start panel, photographs the screen. The power cord was removed from the back of the Dell CPU, and I disconnected the cable modem to prevent remote access. At the time, the Dell CPU marked with serial code. Secured, turned over to the evidence custodian. I then responded to bedroom designated as Room F, where I observed white in color CPU marked Premio. Premio CPU was in the computer desk, which held white CRT monitor, both of which were powered on. The CRT monitor displayed a message from Norton Antivirus Software warning of an expired subscription. I observed no other active windows in the start panel and photographed the screen. I removed the power cable from the back of the Premio CPU and shut down all other media. The Premio CPU marked with serial code. This has been secured, turned over to evidence. So everything was basically, and all the computers that they used were stripped out. And it sounds like they were replaced with bootleg computers. So then I researched the victim's blank cellular telephone subpoena data. Telephone calls start February 6, 2005, same day which victim and the victim's father stated the incident occurred at Epstein's house. First incoming call was from Robson's residence. Second incoming call was from Robson's cellular phone. The call durations were 1 minute or less. The time frame was within 30 minutes apart. It should be noted that Robson's residence was in close proximity to the victims. The next call occurred at 5:50 when the victim telephoned Robson's residence. Several calls were made after the above-mentioned calls, incoming and outgoing to Robson. Further analysis showed no telephone calls to either Robson's cellular telephone or Robson's residence registered prior to February 6, 2005. I also conducted analysis on telephone calls from this number. Subscriber information confirmed the number is registered to Paul A. Lavery from Hialeah, Florida. The address was cross-referenced to the office of Kirali and Riley private investigators. Researched the webpage RileyKirali.com, which also showed various cases in which they assisted. Mr. Riley attended Miami Rotary. Confirmed attorney Roy Black is among his clientele. Telephone calls revealed Lavery had telephone contact with blank, 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 and blank, blank. Just after I attempted to interview them or just prior. A background was conducted on Lavery, which revealed he holds a current private investigator license. A criminal arrest record revealed he had previously been arrested for possession of cocaine and soliciting prostitution. Shocker. He also researched the girl's MySpace pages. This girl said she's in love with Epstein and she didn't want to speak with them. I left another for Blank's parents. I began an analysis of Sarah Kellen's cellular telephone, the telephone number assigned to Sarah, and financially responsible party. Time frame which has been subpoenaed was September 2005 through October 2005. There were 87 pages of calls made. Jeez. Either to cell phones or from the cell phone. Local numbers were analyzed. A spreadsheet was prepared and placed. The analysis revealed that Kellen had called the victim/witness's frequency when Epstein was in town of Palm Beach to work. This confirms what the girls had been interviewed and had previously stated. Kellen would notify them when Epstein was in town and their willingness to work. The CD was placed into evidence. So this is like almost open shot already. They really have everything they need to already arrest him. So then they confirm Robson first called Sarah Kellen, Epstein's assistant. The next call was made to Epstein's house, Palm Beach. Then the following call was made to the victim. This confirms the information provided by the victim and victim's father. A photocopied records and enlarged page 8 and 10 show the calls made by Robson. To this date, I have not heard from blank blank parents. I will attempt to reestablish contact. I reviewed. So, okay. This package was in response to previous meetings in which Mr. Dershowitz called to assist in the investigation in providing any additional witnesses, such as house employees who have been reluctant to speak with law enforcement. I revealed the profiles Mr. Dershowitz enclosed, who designated her blog to be blank blank, still attends this high school, sends and received messages from friends which contain some profanity. Upon reviewing her friend's comment section from the MySpace, most of her good friends sent messages to establish contact and invite her to go out. I then reviewed blank blank weblog, which provided by Mr. Dershowitz. Miss Blank designated her blog to be blank. Her blog states that her interests include music, theater, and weed. Weed? I reviewed her packet in which declares her love for her live-in boyfriend. She also describes using marijuana with her boyfriend. So this is Dershowitz. I'm going to describe to you what's being described here in a reality context. So Dershowitz, in a genius maneuver, decides that how he's going to help with the investigation is to try to discredit the victims or witnesses by saying they smoke a lot of weed and they're in love with their boyfriend. Yes, they break down what MySpace is. Well, this is 2005. So MySpace was kind of like brand new then. So Dershowitz is trying to say, well, this bitch smokes weed, so she can't be trusted. Also, she says she has a boyfriend, which means she can't possibly be fucking Epstein because she has a boyfriend. She loves weed. Look, this girl is not reliable. Good job, Dershowitz. You have nothing to do with this. You don't like Jeffrey or anything. The letter Mr. Dershowitz sent advised he was looking into the allegations that one of the private investigators used by the private attorneys of Epstein attempted to impersonate or state that they were investigators used to interview blank. Blank had quite a distinct speech impediment, did not claim nor did they impersonate themselves as police officers. This package was sent to both ASA Lana Belovic, I think it's pronounced, and ASA Dahlia Weiss at State Attorney's Office. I made telephone contact with ASA Weiss to confirm she received the package and request an interview with Sarah Kellen, Nadia Marcinkova, and Janice Banasiak. She advised she would assist in attempting to contact Mr. Dershowitz. I received a telephone call from ASA Weiss, who informed me that she made telephone contact with Mr. Dershowitz. She had requested the employees be available the week January 3rd, 2006. Mr. Dershowitz informed her that the assistants are out of the country and would require just. I bet you they never came back to the country. I bet you they stayed as long as this investigation was going on. They never came back. I started conducting surveillance. And this is all very boring. He describes all the cars that come in and out. And is able to identify whose cars are who, but a lot of it's redacted later. So, but there were constantly bitches coming in and out of here. All right, so this is another girl. I made contact with Mr. Blank Blank, father of Blank Blank, who was told that I wished to interview his daughter, stated he was aware and had spoken with his daughter about the incident, stated his daughter had previously told him that she was hired to model lingerie at a Palm Beach mansion. Mr. Blank stated he knew nothing else about what she did, and she went to work. And when she went to work, Mr. Blank advised he would cooperate with the investigation and make his daughter available for interview. I asked when she was available for interview and stated she was not at home at the time. I informed him I would make contact with her at a later time. Expressed interest in resolution in this matter, stated that this information affected his daughter emotionally. I encountered Mr. Rodriguez waiting in the lobby, brought Mr. Rodriguez in for an interview. During a sworn tape statement, Mr. Rodriguez stated he was employed by Jeffrey Epstein for approximately 6 months. He was referred by associates, and his employment lasted the months of November 2004 to May 2005. His responsibilities as house manager included being butler, chauffeur, chef, houseman, run errands for Mr. Epstein, and provide for Epstein's guests. Rodriguez advised that he had very limited contact with Epstein. If Rodriguez needed to relay a message to Mr. Epstein, he would notify Epstein's secretary, Leslie, in New York City, who would then notify Epstein's personal assistant, Sarah, who would relay the message to Epstein. Rodriguez stated Epstein did not want to see or hear staff when he was in the residence. I asked Rodriguez if Epstein received many guests during his stay in Palm Beach. Rodriguez advised he had many guests. I asked specifically about the masseuses coming to the house. Rodriguez stated he would have 2 massages a day. Epstein would have 1 massage in the morning and 1 massage in the afternoon. Every day he was in the residence. Rodriguez stated he would be informed to expect someone to make them comfortable until either Sarah or Epstein would meet with them. Rodriguez stated once the masseuse would arrive, he would allow them entry into the kitchen area and offer them something to drink or eat, would be taken upstairs to provide the massage. Asked Rodriguez if any masseuses appeared young in age. He advised he didn't ask their ages, but felt they were very young. Rodriguez stated that they ate like his own daughter, who was also in high school. Rodriguez stated they would eat tons of cereal and drink milk. Rodriguez stated the girls who would come appeared to be too young to be masseuses. He stated one time under Epstein's direction, he delivered a dozen roses to, sounds like a high school, for one of the girls that came to provide a massage. He knew the girls were still in high school and were of high school age. I asked Rodriguez about massages. He felt that there was a lot more going on than just massages, hence why he was only employed for 6 months. He would clean Mr. Epstein's bedroom after the alleged massages and would discover massager vibrators and sex toys scattered on the floor. He also said he would wipe down the vibrators and sex toys and put them away in an armoire. He described the armoire as a small wood armoire, which was on the wall close to Epstein's bed. Epstein ordered Rodriguez to go to the dollar rent-a-car and rent a car for the same girl he bought the roses to, so that she could drive herself to Epstein's house without incident. Rodriguez said the girl always needed rides to and from the house. Referred to himself as a human ATM machine and was ordered by Epstein to maintain a minimum balance of $2,000 on him at all times. When a girl would come by the house, Mr. Epstein was either not in the residence or was not at home at the time. Rodriguez was to provide the girl masseuses several $100s for their time and to notify Epstein the amount they were given. Epstein also ordered him to purchase several gifts, provide them as tips to the girls. I asked what kind of gifts. He stated that he purchased iPods, jewelry, and anything the girls would want. Stated the amount of girls that came to the house was approximately 15. Each of the girls knew each other and all seemed to know at blank, blank, blank who Mr. Epstein was. I'm guessing that's the high school. All the girls at the high school knew who Epstein was. That's my educated guess. Stated he could not keep at the moment, but he knew he wrote their names down in a journal he kept during his employ with Mr. Epstein. Kept the journal in the event he needed to explain either to Mr. Epstein or his assistants what was done at the house and who visited the house, as he stated he was in charge of Mr. Epstein's personal security while in Palm Beach. I would need to view this journal, and he stated he would research the book and contact me to provide the book. Okay. This music got way more intense. Did it? It moved over to a different track. Yeah, I know. It's insane, right? He's sending roses to a high school. Oh, look, Dodal is in chat. Hello, Dodal. The gun grease has gone to Persip's mind. Play the X-Files remix. That's reserved for the Brian zone. That's true. Rodriguez produced a green folder which contained documents, a note with Mr. Epstein's stationery with directions to deliver a bucket of roses to blank high school. After a high school drama performance. Also in the same note was direction to rent a car for blank, directed to extend the rental contract. I returned to Palm Beach Police Station and placed the folder into evidence. I mean, that's ballsy to send roses to the high school. Let's see. So, okay, they identified a bunch of people through the license plates as coming and going. He identified a Johanna Stojberg, who had been previously seen on the property. During the statement, advised that when she was 15 or 16 years of age, she was taken to Epstein's house by her associate. Stated this occurred late May 2004, early June 2004. She was told she could model for lingerie for money for a wealthy Palm Beacher. She remembered they traveled by yellow cab. She remembered encountering Epstein at the front door during an evening at the house. Basically, the same thing happens. She rubs it. She goes upstairs. Everything's set up. He's only wearing a towel. She does a massage. He attempts to touch her, you know. Doesn't attempt to touch her. I guess he actually does touch her breast and vagina. She was instructed to rub his nipples. He did some nasty things. Pulled her closer to him. He appeared to have climaxed after he pulled her closer. Epstein had told her that there was $200 on his dresser. He told her that she could not tell anyone what had happened at the house or bad things could happen. Stated she went to Epstein's house 3 or 4 more times in total. Was very scared and felt very nervous. She knew because of Epstein's money he was very powerful. After a massage, Epstein ordered his houseman at the time to drive the girls home. The employee was told to drop off the girls at their house and watch them go outside into their house. Could not remember who the houseman was. Epstein and his assistant, Sarah, could call her at her father's house to arrange for her to come and work. She advised each time she returned to the house that Epstein would do the same thing. After he climaxed, the massage was over. She was paid $200 each time she went. Each time she went, she was reminded not to speak of what happened at the house, or she would also be contacted again. She began to purposely miss calls from either Sarah or Epstein. She once brought a friend blank, unknown last name, to work for Epstein. She was paid $200 for bringing said girl. They no longer returned to work for Epstein. She also stated that she wanted to notify the police of what happened at the house. Stated she was scared at what could have happened to her or her family if she had notified the authorities. On January 10th, 2006, I received results from the subpoena. The wire was sent by Jeffrey Epstein of 457 Madison Avenue, New York City on December 23rd, 2004 at 12:05 p.m. The amount was $222. So this confirms that girl's story that she was wired from Western Union. So a lot of the testimony was confirmed with factual paper evidence. Let's see. So then he tracks down this Sojberg, identified as a licensed massage therapist, had previously been seen on Epstein's property. When physical surveillance was done, told of ongoing investigation, felt she may have information pertaining to the case. She stated she met Epstein 3 years ago when Maxwell approached her while she was attending a Palm Beach Atlantic College to work around Epstein's house. Maxwell told her that she needed some girls to work at the house to answer phones and run errands. She accepted the job, began working at Epstein's house on El Brillo in Palm Beach. She continued going to Epstein's house, would be notified when Epstein would travel to Palm Beach, advised that she would be notified by Maxwell, Epstein, or Sarah, his assistant. Stated she began providing massages to Epstein before she became a massage therapist. She continued giving massages, not only to Epstein, but also Nadia Marcinkova and Sarah, his assistant. She stated that she was 23 years old when she met Epstein. Anything that happened was between two consenting adults. I explained to her that she was not in any trouble as part of this investigation, but I needed to ask certain questions. Stated there were times that Epstein would ask her to perform during the massage. He would instruct her to rub his nipples as he masturbated himself. She felt grossed out about the behavior, but she was getting paid, and she just continued. She advised that she would on occasion perform massages naked. Epstein would on occasion utilize a vibrator on her vagina. She explained that Epstein never exposed himself to her, and he was always covered under the towel he would be wearing. She asked if she ever received any gifts or gratuities. She was paid well, advised Epstein took care of her tuition for Palm Beach Atlantic College. She received a rental car for a week when her scooter broke down. She received other gifts. Epstein also recommended her to another client who resides at Breakers Row in Palm Beach. The client was referred to as Glenn. We will learn that Glenn is the husband of an ex-lover of Epstein, a doctor. What's her name? We'll read more about her later. Some water. How long have I been going with this? My mouth is so dry. Have I really been going 2.5 hours? All right. Let's get through this. Additional footage of Sarah Kellen and Nadia Marcinkova was seen. There was other footage of females seen. Identity of females is unknown until such times I meet with certain females to show video footage to confirm. At this time, it appears that blank blank and Haley Robson are seen sitting with Epstein beside his desk in the evening hours. Due to poor lighting, a direct confirmation cannot be made at this time. Let's see. I'm going to skip to more relevant parts. This is an interesting story. So this woman was invited over by, all right, I should read this because it was an interesting story. Blank stated she was 17 years of age when she met Jeffrey Epstein through her former roommate, who was allegedly dating Epstein at the time. Had once cohabitated together when they modeled. Explained Blank called her on the telephone, advised her that she was at Palm Beach and requested to see her. Made arrangements to meet her at Epstein's house. Met Epstein. Received money from Epstein to go to the mall. They visited Victoria's Secret and purchased undergarments from the mall, utilized monies given by Epstein. Continued shopping, having a day together. Blank stated that Blank explained she and Epstein had been dating each other, and he had been paying all her bills. Blank claimed Blank advised they met in New York and had been dating ever since. Later returned to Epstein's home and encountered Epstein. Had a brief conversation about her modeling career. He knew of her modeling career from Blank, requested to see her modeling portfolio. He explained he could help her with modeling jobs. He commented negatively about her photographs and portfolio. Felt uncomfortable with the comments made, as she had been working with other professional modeling companies who had offered her work from her photographs. Epstein requested to see her what she had purchased, took out the undergarments. She immediately showed Epstein different sets purchased. Requested to see her outfit, since it was Epstein's money that purchased the item. Epstein asked her to try it on. The other bitch said, yeah, try it on. Feeling compelled to try on the undergarment, she went to another room, put on the bra and panty set, walked out a living room, and modeled for them. Stayed within the same week. She returned to meet with them and have a massage, but was told she would be unable to stay with her as she would be going for a bike ride with Epstein. Explained that she could stay at the house to take advantage of a massage. How many times was Clinton mentioned? A lot, but we have to get to the testimony. I need like a minute break. I need some water. How am I sweeping up? We're going through the case files. It's very disturbing. Yeah, there's an auto filter now. You used to be able to control the filter on the chat, but now you can't. Now you can't disable it anymore. I'll be right back. I need some water. let's continue. Justice for their victims. Who knew that PPP and Persic DM links would be so wild? Yes. Can't believe there's 55 people listening to me read this. Venera stated she knows Epstein, been employed by him. Okay. So the only interesting thing to really take out of this is Venera explained that she was, so this was like a legitimate masseuse that would come and massage him and Maxwell. She also massaged his guests and assistants, and she said Venera explained that she was not Epstein's type. The girls would see her at Epstein's house, were very thin, beautiful, and without tattoos. Venera explained that she had several tattoos that are visible. Maxwell and Epstein have commented negatively about her tattoos previously. Venera stated that she does Swedish-style massages, and that nothing ever happened during her massages. And she knew she wasn't his type. Here we go. Here's Haley Robson again. Had informed her that she wanted to provide massage for $200. Harrison stated the massage would be over when Epstein would climax onto the towel. Harrison stated she brought 2 people to the house. She advised she received money for bringing people to the house for work. Harrison stated that she brought a girl named Blank and her friend Tori Bean. Bean's still waiting for Harrison in the lobby. And then it's just so many of them. There's so many girls. But these girls were 18, but still hired prostitution. Bean said she did. Another one. Let's see. This is an interesting one. So here's David Rogers. This is his famed pilot. Everyone on the island wore Medicare hats. He had been employed. So Rogers was identified as Epstein's pilot. Rogers, who advised, was employed by Epstein since 1991. Flew to his island. Of course, he conveniently doesn't know who's on the plane. Once he is in the cockpit, he does not know who the passengers are. Bullshit! Manifest only to keep count of passengers. Yeah, right. Mrs. Rogers came into the living room and recommended that her husband consult with an attorney. Mr. Rogers agreed he would speak with the family attorney to inform him of this questioning. He was not a suspect and ceased all questions. There was one other thing that was important in here. Another girl. I mean, it's nauseating. I learned through one of the victims that she was personally contacted through a source that has maintained contact with Epstein. The source assured Blank she would receive monetary compensation for her assistance in not cooperating with law enforcement. Blank also stated she was told those who help him will be compensated and those who hurt him will be dealt with. I told Blank that tampering with witnesses and victims in an arrestable offense is an arrestable offense and very serious. I asked her who approached her during this encounter. She was originally reluctant to provide the name of the person who approached her to testify because they felt they were still friends. It's probably Robson. Or maybe one of these other unnamed girls. But it's probably Robson. Met with the victim blank blank, identified as blank blank. Oh no, so it wasn't Robson, it was another girl, probably, who was underage. Also stated that she did not want, maybe the one that declared she was in love with him. did not want to pursue intimidation charges on Blank Blank, was concerned that the defense attorney was given a copy of the report, as certain things she had told me in confidence were repeated to her by Beale prior to our departure. The victim was given a copy of her subpoena for the grand jury, scheduled to commence April 18th. So this is where things get very suspicious, because that means that somebody higher up in law enforcement was providing Epstein with confidential documents of the witnesses being, so he was privy to all of these interviews. And that's a very dangerous precedent. So there was a lot of tampering going on. Yes, this was all just released. So now this is where things get really interesting. Upon our return to Tallahassee, I notified the state's attorney office as what was told to me. I also notified them that the subpoenas were delivered to the witnesses and they would be calling for arrangements for the date and time needed for the grand jury. I spoke with ASA Weiss and informed her of possible intimidation by defense. I attempted, so you're going to see this, I think it's pronounced Belovic, to ascertain when victims need to return for grand jury. Messages were left on their voicemail. I again left messages for ASA Weiss and ASA Belovic for either of them to return my call, and I have not heard from the state attorney's office as the time and date of the grand jury. Approximately 12:30 p.m., I went to state attorney's office and located the ASA Weiss and the ASA Belovic in their offices. I entered the office of Belovic and I was informed that she was going to return my call. She explained that an offer was made to the defense attorney Guy Fronston and attorney Alan Dershowitz. The offer is 1-count aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony, 5 years probation with adjudication withheld. Think about that. This is beyond a sweetheart deal. 5 years probation with adjudication withheld. That is insane. We've already read that there is an insurmountable amount of evidence. Testimony, eyewitnesses, recordings, paper transcripts, phone records, everything. I mean, this is an open and shut case. 5 years probation. Outrageous. When asked, and it was only one charge. Epstein would have to submit to psychiatric sexual evaluation and no unsupervised visits with minors. When asked about all the other victims, ASA Belovic stated there was only offer made as to one victim. ASA Belovic's cell phone rang and went to voicemail. She checked her voicemail and played the message on speaker. The caller identified himself as attorney Guy Fronston and acknowledged a deal was made between them. Fronston stated in the message he spoke with his client Jeffrey Epstein and agreed to the deal. Fronston asked to call off the grand jury as they would accept this deal. Of course they would accept the deal. 5 years probation. Fronston asked to call off the grand jury as they would accept this deal. Belovic stated a probable cause would be needed to book Epstein in the county jail and would let the deal and not be consulted. Hold on. Belovic stated a probable cause would be needed to book Epstein in the county jail and would let me know as to when it would be needed. I explained my disapproval. However, I expressed that that was only my opinion and their final approval would come from the chief of police. She explained that the chief of she explained to have Chief Ryder call Barry Krishner about the deal. I left the area and returned to the police station where I briefed the chief about the deal offer. It's an insane deal. I checked my voicemail messages and discovered a message from blank stepmother from the victim. She was calling because the state's attorney office still had not returned any of her calls as to when they are needed for this case. I then called ASA Belovic's office and left messages for her to call the victims on this case and explain to them that the state's attorney office had done. On April 17, 2006, at approximately 4:30, State Attorney Investigator Tim Valentine called to officially notify me of the cancellation of the grand jury. So, obvious major interference here in the investigation. I advised Valentine that as this grand jury session was called based on State Attorney Office decision, have the victims heard by the grand jury, I felt that the state's attorney's office responsibility to contact the victims and advise them of their reason that they were no longer needed. It's insane. I prepared 3 arrest warrant requests and submitted them to the state's attorney office. The packages were delivered to the Crimes Against Children unit in the care of ASA Lana Belovic. Jeffrey Epstein's arrest warrant was requested for 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with certain minors and 1 count of lewd and lascivious molestation. Sarah Kellen, Epstein's assistant, arrest warrant request for 4 counts of principal in the first degree unlawful sexual activity with certain minors and 1 count of principal in the first degree of lewd and lascivious molestation. Haley Robson's arrest warrant request was made for lewd and lascivious acts on a victim under the age of 16 years of age. The receipt of delivery was signed and brought back. Of course, none of these people were arrested, except for Epstein himself, who got beyond a sweetheart deal. I mean, just a phoned-in deal. ASA Weiss advised she had been taken off the Jeffrey Epstein case because her husband is employed with attorney Jack Goldberger. Attorney Goldberger is the attorney of record for Jeffrey Epstein. What a coincidence. His previous attorney, Guy Franson, had been fired from representation. ASA Lana Belovic has been assigned to the case. ASA Weiss stated she can no longer speak about the Epstein case with me. I thanked her for her telephone call. ASA Weiss further stated that ASA Belovic would be calling me. This is, okay, here we go. I met with the ASA Lana Belovic at the state attorney's office. She explained that her boss, Barry Krishner, was requesting this case be taken to the grand jury again. I explained to her I had requested arrest warrants for Jeffrey Epstein, Sarah Kellen, and Haley Robson. I asked that she either issue the warrants or direct file, as so much time had lapsed since the original request for the grand jury. I explained that the Palm Beach Police Department had concluded the case December 2005 and had been waiting for the case to go forward. Belovic stated the original offer was again offered to the new defense attorney. Jeez, he was waiting on their answer. Yeah, I'm noticing a trend too with this naming scheme. Yeah, pay to leave jail, like Monopoly. It's insane. I received several phone calls throughout the day. This is May 22nd, 2006. From Mr. Blank, who stated he had been followed aggressively by private investigator. Mr. Blank stated as he drove to and from work and running errands throughout the county, the same vehicle was behind him, running other cars off the road in an attempt to not lose sight of his vehicle. I explained to him as Mr. Epstein had retained new legal counsel, it was possible that it was new private investigators following him to observe his daily activities. I also explained to him that there was a meeting scheduled with ASA Lana Belovic and attorney Jack Goldberger at Mr. Krishner's office scheduled June 1st, 2006 at 9 a.m. I attempted to call ASA Lana Belovic to inform her of her private investigators following him. She was on her vacation during the week of May 22nd to May 30th, probably at Epstein's house. On May 23rd, I received other calls from Mr. and Mrs. Blank, who advised me they were able to acquire the private investigator's license plate information. Following them, he was driving very aggressively, caused Mrs. Blank to be run off the road. Mrs. Blank stated the vehicle is a green Chevy Monte Carlo bearing Florida tag. Vehicle registered to Jackery Burchard, Jupiter, Florida. He is employed with Candor Investigations from Jupiter, Florida. He is a licensed private investigator. Since the discovery of the threat made against one of the victims in this case, I requested subpoenas for all the calls made to and from, received from, during the month of March 2006 for her cell phone and home phone. I received a subpoena from Sprint Nextel with all the calls made during the month. I reviewed. Inbound alcohol calls to and from the phone. Call to the victim, which lasted 492 seconds, 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Victim then returned to the call. 11 a.m. lasted 6 seconds. Victim then made contact with Blank at 11:22. Call was 14 minutes long. These subsequent calls were consistent with what the victim had described to me on the date of intimidation. Immediately after speaking with the victim, Blank makes call to Sarah Kellen, Epstein's assistant, which lasts 48 seconds. Call is then immediately received. A telephone number is registered to the corporation affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, located at 457 Madison Ave, New York. An extension computer check revealed 457 Madison Ave, New York business address. Epstein's corporation's assigned to. We don't know what any of these corporations do or what any of these offices do. But somehow Epstein is a millionaire, even though there seems to be very little business going on. I observed El Zorro Ranch Corporation. So it should be noted that there is no further contact with either of the victims during the month of March or April. ASA Lana Belovic telephoned me to inform me of the meeting that occurred with attorney Jack Goldberger and her reference this case. She advised me that she would make her determination whether or not to file this case on Monday, June 5th. She informed me that the case would be sent to the grand jury for charges. Belovic stated, State Attorney Barry Krishner made the determination to go to grand jury hearing. She stated that she had not been contacted as of yet by the state's attorney's office for any information. I provided her with their telephone number. Now, next. That's another report. There's so many reports of the same thing. Oh, okay. So this is where things get really interesting. Is it this one? Let me look at it. I don't think this is what I'm looking for. I think I'm going to go to the next one. because the attorneys argue a lot with each other in these transcripts, which takes up a lot of space, and it's not really. I don't think this one is the juicy one. I think the next one is. But my name is Stan Sanders. This is Alessi. My job changed a little by little. Estate manager, then to major domo. Did he pay you around $45,000? I think I started with 45. Okay, when did you start to work for him? At the beginning. Did he change that later on? Yes. How did he change that? When Miss Maxwell came into the picture. Okay, when was that she came to the picture? Did Miss Maxwell come into the picture? It was his girlfriend, his main girlfriend. Okay, had you known her before she became? No. Never know her before. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to finish my question. Would you have referred to her as your supervisor or your superior? What would you have called Miss Maxwell? I used to call her Ghislaine. Okay, and how was it explained to you that you were to deal with Miss Maxwell as opposed to Epstein? She would tell me I'm going to take care of the house. Okay, that was explained to you by Miss Maxwell. Is that yes? Yes. And when Miss Maxwell started assuming responsibilities for a house, did your duties change at the time? Not much. Okay, not much. Miss Maxwell started taking responsibility for the house. What were your duties? Basically all the maintenance. They were trying to remodel the home, and they would told me, okay, tear down this wall. We want to see how it's going to look, or put up windows, or tear down. We had a fishing tank. We took it out. I took it out. A kitchen on the second floor. I took it out. I was basically dismantling the house. It was a manual. I can't remember how many pages. They asked basically, were you given written instructions? It was a manual. I can't remember how many pages, but it was quite thick. It was done by an estate manager that she will manage all the properties, and that was also how there was also to be a force in Palm Beach. You still have a copy of the manual? No, I don't. I bet you they made him burn it. Do you have any papers whatsoever that were prepared while you were working? He says, no. For Mr. Epstein, I left everything there. Did you make any diary notes for yourself? No, sir. The only thing I have is a separation agreement. That's it? Okay. Did you bring that with you today? No. Okay. Did your duties ever include taking telephone messages? Yes, sometimes. When did this start approximately? When I moved from outside to inside the house. None of these workers speak any English, really. Inside the house, I had an apartment. I have small service quarters in house. Well, English second language. They spoke English, but you know what I mean. It was second languaging. Do you have any papers whatsoever? I was living in the property. I had to do with the pool, the service, landscaping. I didn't do it myself. I had people working with me. Approximately, when was your relationship to Miss Maxwell taking over the responsibility of the house? I will say after it was done, a big renovation with architects and engineers. That was after I did the breaking down of this renovation. They hired architects, they hired decorators and engineers. And then they make our quarters, even built our own quarters in there. My wife came to help me, I see. And are you able to describe for me where the quarters were? They hire chefs. They hire mostly European chefs. It was an English chef. Rupert. I know his name was Rupert. French chef Didier. A kid from New York who was chef also. They were hiring chefs when I was doing, sometimes I did most of the cooking. When they wanted to bring their chef, they bring their chef on the plane and the chef will stay and will work there. Were there other employees who worked for Mr. Epstein while you were working for him that you know of? No, except my wife. Did you know a lady by the name of Sarah Kellen? Sarah, yes, I do. Sarah Kellen came at the end of my stay there, probably 2 or 3 months before I left. You'll notice this number change all the time. Anytime he's asked about Sarah, it's 2 or 3 months. It becomes like a week at the end of this testimony. Now, they refer to a lot of these underage girls just by initials in the transcript, even though they're actually referring, he's actually saying the full name in court, but in the transcript, they're only referred to as initials. And you'll see that in an argument. The reference material isn't an argument between the lawyers. It's unimportant. Yes, I know NB. Want to take a chance at spelling that last name? I think it was B. She was not an employee. She was a guest. Was she a full-time guest? No. When would she visit? She was a girl that was very, very talented. Mr. Epstein helped her become an actress. Now she's a movie actress and she's in a soap opera. She came with her mother to the house and he helped her come up with her career. Okay, are you familiar with any other individuals by the name of N who worked for Mr. Epstein? No. After the renovations were complete, did you have access to the entire house? Absolutely, yes. Was there any particular portion of the house that was denied access to you? No. Okay. Were there any photographs of nude females in the house? Overly broad, nude, completely naked. However you interpret it. And the witness says, excuse me, can you repeat that again? Yes, there were any photographs of nude females in the house. Yes, I saw nude photographs. Most of the times those photographs were taken by Miss Maxwell. They usually are her desk, and she kept a big album. Do you remember any pictures of nude or partially unclothed females on the walls of his house? Of course, Epstein's lawyer, I guess, is objecting for him. Okay. Yes, it was. It was pictures of partially nude. And where were they? Most of the times they were in the pool. No, on the stairway, there were no pictures when I was there. It was a service stairway that was very narrow, coming from service quarters to the kitchen. Do you have any recollection of pictures of any females whatsoever inside the stairways? No. Then they try to establish this weird age play. Then he describes, okay. And then they say, again, I don't know, I don't think I can tell exactly. She is 14 or 16. But if you knew, 16 I would think is a girl, of course. Were there any visitors to Epstein's house that were considered to be girls as opposed to women? Yes, yes. I think I would say I never check ID. Right. I was told not to check IDs. Of course, on these girls, but one I would say's NB was very young. She was in high school, and sometimes either I pick her mother or I pick herself from her house and pick her from School of the Arts or ballet. West Palm Beach, I can't remember exactly what place is the name. Did you give or provide transportation for any other females that worked for Epstein? Occasionally, yes. I remember one specifically. It was V. V, I believe, is Virginia, who is the complainant against Maxwell. Her name was V. I can't remember her last name, but I think it was P. I'm not sure. I can be wrong on that. How many times did you provide transportation for this female? I had been told whenever I was told to get them or bring them back to the house. Did you consider V a girl or a woman? Again, I think it was woman from Self, her dressing and her. I think it was, again, I don't know if she was 16, 17, 18, 19. Could have been. She was not. I never pick her up from school, anything like that. Only girl that picked up from school was N. Do you remember any other females being present at the house? Which were her mother, Sarah Kellen, B. So N is Sarah Kellen's daughter. And Sarah Kellen knew exactly what was going on. So there's a heavy implication that Sarah Kellen was pimping out her daughter to Epstein. Just a strong vibe here. N. Just referred to as N. But N is a reference to Sarah Kellen's daughter, who was made into, I guess, a big star out of this. But I see implications here. Were there any others that you? He says, many, many, many. When did you first? Then his lawyer is going to interrupt the proceeding. Then we're going to go on to the next. Let's see. Let's see, where are we? This gets very interesting. One Alessi. Did you ever? Did I just read this? This should be a different page. Let's see. Should be another piece here. Well, maybe it's in the next exhibit. Let's see. I think there were interesting excerpts in this, but there was mostly that what sync would you find those massage? Okay, so here we go. But I think this is all reiterated in different testimony. Let's see. I think this. There is so much that I read, but a lot of it is retread, and a lot of it is more testimony from different girls. It's the logbook. What I want. Is this one? Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Oh, I lost? What the hell? This sounds like the Thing music. Oh, I gotta take off this sweater. Holy shit. I'm getting tired now. All right. All right. Okay, so this is all the attorneys fighting with each other on what's what. Okay, so here we go into the interesting stuff. Okay, so after the lawyers argue with each other about how this is going to be captured in the script and recordings, and how this is going to be presented to the grand jury, we get to this. Okay, how old do you think VR was at the time she began coming to Epstein's house? She would have been 17, 18, 19. Could she also have been 15? Could have been, but you know, I don't think I'm a very good judge of ages. If you could ask me how old you are, I really couldn't tell. Mr. Crichton says, Kathy thinks she's 25 in my dreams. Now again, I must tell you, I was never told to check any IDs or any people who work at the house. I understand that. The answer is no. So young women, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so you never really focused on any particular thought about if they seem young. Of course, Mr. Crichton objects, but that's what form means. I didn't see that many young girls, you know, young underage girls at the house. I never saw except 2 girls that I mentioned that I think it was underage. Was Anne for sure. She was still in high school, which is Sarah Killen's daughter. And she had dinner with her mother a couple of times with her mother, and she become actress. She's an actress. She has done movies, and she helped her in her career. That's the only girl that I knew. She was young because she was going to high school, and I pick her up from school sometimes. She was not a massage therapist. She will go for dinner, and they will go to movies, and she sang sometimes. She was a singer. So she sung at the house. Beautiful girl, very talented. That's the only girl I know that it was, I would say, underage. Okay, who told you that VR was a massage therapist? Answer, nobody. Did you assume that she was a massage therapist because you were told she was coming to give us a massage? He answers, no, I assumed she was a massage therapist because I was. I drove Miss Maxwell to Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's residence, and I waited in car while Miss Maxwell got I think it was a facial massage. I don't know, but that day I remember this girl V, walking down from main lobby towards spa of Mar-a-Lago. I was driving Miss Maxwell up the ramp. It's a little ramp there. And Miss Maxwell says, stop. And she went and walked and talked and went inside. And that afternoon around 5, I saw V came. She came to house already. She was there already. That was first day I knew, and that she would come regularly. Did you ever meet any of V's family? No. I think she was one time. I think her father drove her. And I met. I don't know if it was boyfriend or husband, but he had to wait. Make him wait outside while she was at the house. Do you know the name or recognize the name? Tony Santiago. I think it was him. That was her. I know he had an old beat-up car, Camaro Mustang. I know it was a very old car. I make him wait on street one time. I make him come out of driveway because we have to move some cars around. Did you ever come a time when Tony Santiago was welcomed into the kitchen? I think he came once into the kitchen, but Miss Maxwell told me to get him out. Did she tell you why? No, she didn't. I guess she didn't want to become, you know, everybody, because some of these people came with their husbands and they wait outside. I guess she didn't want this to become norm for everybody to bring companions while they do massage for her. During the time you were there, did you ever know Tony Santiago bringing any other girls to Mr. Epstein? No, I knew that sometimes I saw V bring other girls with her, not Tony. Do you remember the names of any of those girls? No, I don't. That V brought. That was the end of my stay there. No, that was very, very end, last month of stay. Did you give, I don't believe I asked you, but if I did, forgive me. Did you give us an approximate year in which you were taking Miss Maxwell to Mar-a-Lago and saw VR for the first time? That was at the end of my stay. So I would say between 3 months, maybe before I left. I think I left at the end of the year, so I could have been. I remember it was a very hard day because I had to wait in sun outside convertible and I was dying waiting for an hour for Miss Maxwell. I think it was in summer 2002. And if I remember correctly, you left in November or December of 2002. Yes. So that you might have been perhaps July or August of 2002. Uh-huh. So you might have been perhaps, So as I understand, you only saw VR come to that house during the last 3 months of your time with Mr. Epstein. Yes. Do you have any sense, or can you approximate how many days or how many times she came? I cannot give you a number, but I would say 2 or 3 times a week. You mentioned that sometimes you would have to call these massage therapists in the middle of the night. Did you ever call V for Mr. Epstein in the middle of the night? No. Did there come a time while you were there that VR stayed at the house? I don't think so. I cannot remember. How many bedrooms were there upstairs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms. There would have been 5, and so would one have been Mr. Epstein's bedrooms. His quarters was big, huge quarters.
In my future with a career in healthcare. Bryant and Stratton College was the place.
Yes, he was there in the room. His bathroom was there. And her bathroom was there. The main room was there. And we have 2 sets of doors before. 2 sets of double doors before you can go into the suite. And there was one on the top of the stairway and one in the middle of the hallway. And then you walk into the suite. Okay, and you just put a red 8 by 11 folder in front of you. Yeah. This is the room. Yeah, so they're showing him a diagram of the room, and he's confirming it's Epstein's room. This is the room. Do you mean that Mr. Epstein room? And he says, and Miss Maxwell. Yes. And his bath was on one side and hers was on the other. Yes, ma'am. So she did not have a separate bedroom. Miss Maxwell, no. Sometimes she slept in a different bedroom. Don't ask me why. Okay, but generally at that point in time, she was still, yeah. Sleeping in for most of the nights in the same bedroom. Yeah. As Mr. Epstein, Then there was service quarters, the service department. Okay. So, confirming that Maxwell shared the bedroom with Epstein the whole time. Even though there was something strange going on here. If anyone stayed in the blue room, yes, many. And in the red room, same thing. So guess who'd stay in the red room and blue room, as they're referred to? Did NB spend nights there? No, not that I remember. She never did. Not that I remember, no, because she was not there until the whole length of time I worked for Mr. Epstein. She was there for maybe a year or 2 years. She then moved to California. She moved whole family to Hollywood. And that's NB. And you mentioned Dr. Ava Anderson. I believe you said she had been a girlfriend of Mr. Epstein's. Yeah. Before, I understand. Miss Maxwell. Yeah. And there were times when she would stay in the house? Yes. Would she stay in the house when Miss Maxwell was there as well? Yes. And did she have a sort of regular room there? Yes. Let me repeat. Can you repeat that again? Questions before. I think I say yes. When Maxwell was there, I think not. I can't remember Ava being there. She was there for a little bit because they become friends after that, and they have dinners and lunches. She would come because Ava got married and she had kids. And they called Mr. Epstein Uncle Jeffrey. So they become friends, and I don't think she ever slept at house again because she had her own house in Palm Beach. When you first went there to work, she would sleep at the house? Was that before she was married? He responds, yes, before she was married. They split up and she went her own way. Did she marry Glenn Dubin? That's correct. Mr. Dubin used to come to the house too. Do you know, was Sarah Kellen ever one of the massage therapists before she became an assistant? I don't know if she was a massage therapist. I don't remember setting up a massage table for her. I think she was an assistant, and she would call at the end of my stay. I tried to pull aside from my obligations, and Sarah was doing all the phone calls and all arrangements and all looking out for these girls for massage therapists. They were constantly. When did the role get transferred from you to Miss Maxwell, the role of looking after the girls? I didn't look out for girls. Miss Maxwell was the one that recruit. I remember one occasion or two occasions, she would say to me, John, give me a list of all spas in Palm Beach County, and I will drive her. Oh, I forgot to introduce this guy. This is another caretaker before, I believe, Alessi. This was the caretaker for the house. John, give me a list of all spas Palm Beach County. I will drive her from one to the other, to PGA to Boca, and she will go and drop credit cards, not credit cards, business cards, and she come out, and then she would go. She will recruit the girls. Was never done by me or Mr. Epstein or anyone else. It was always Maxwell. I don't know about Sarah because Sarah was there at probably last weeks of my stay. So I cannot say anything about Sarah. Was there any point in time? Well, let me ask this way. No, I think this is Juan Alessi. Hold on. Let me go back up. I could resume. Is this Juan Alessi? Yes, it is Juan Alessi. Excuse me. So this is Alessi still. Even though he changes his story all over the place. Let's see. I gotta go back to where it was. Doctor of Medicine, Ava Anderson. Did I read this before? No. So it seems like Ava Anderson originally set up this house and then Maxwell took over. Where the fuck was I? I could refer to the stream. Oh. Uh-oh, I lost my place. I'm getting way overtired here. Kid from New York. Nude. I remember reading this. Anderson, before Miss Maxwell assumed confidence, there were many female visitors to the house except for Dr. Ava Anderson. No, not that I remember. She was one. This stream has eradicated my strength. Well, it's eradicated all of our strengths. Okay. Okay. Because they were local, some people live in Palm Beach. Some of these girls, they live in Palm Beach. How did you know that? They become friends. Do you happen to remember the names of any of these friends? I remember there were some girls multiple times, usually for dinner. GB. Okay. I think she used to work for Morgan Stanley. My son worked at the same time. Do you recall the first time you observed a female come to Epstein's house for purposes of a massage? She says, I don't recall that. I would say between 50 and 100 different persons came for massages. If you happen to know any of these names, I remember a couple of names. The last name I asked, I'm going to tell you there were girls that came multiple times. Of the multiple girls that came multiple times, the girls come to the house. Girls again, I mean, I'm going to refer to everybody as girls. Okay, you don't necessarily mean under 18 when you say this. None of the girls were under 18. Then again, I don't know. They could have been 18 or 19, 20, 25. I don't know. They were all masseuses. They came to the house. Because I was told by either Miss Maxwell will call or I will call Mr. Epstein. And I would call the girl at this time. Sometimes it was 1 in the morning. Sometimes it was in the afternoon. Sometimes it was after movies. 99% of the time they would drive their own cars. But then he says he would pick them up all the time. So it really don't make any sense. I want to get to the celebrity stuff. And then I'm going to wrap this up because I'm really tired now. Let's see. He describes Maxwell taking naked pictures of girls in the pool and keeping an album of all the naked pictures of all the girls in the pool. He describes them all as young European girls. Getting back to where I was before. Okay. Yeah, Miss Maxwell was the one to recruit. Do you remember, is Jeffrey Epstein godfather of one of Dubin's children? I don't know if he's a godfather. I don't remember that, but he was very fond of the children. They called him uncle, you said? They said they called him uncle. Mercator really was wholesome all along. I mean, it's just so disturbing, bro. You ever learn what Tony Santiago did for a living? No. Have you on any occasion seen him since the time you left Mr. Epstein's employ? No. And you don't have any idea where he is? I have no idea. I remember an incident one time. I went to pick her up at Royal Palm Beach and she was crying. And I went and knocked at door and she was crying. And she says, well, I think it was Tony, or because she used to live with these other guys too. There were 2 guys and her, or 2 couples. I don't know the arrangement. But I remember that she told me Tony or her boyfriend had got mad and ripped the furniture. He cut the furniture into pieces and he even broke the screens. Because when I went to knock the door, the screen was all ripped, like it was cut. She told me that he got mad at, I don't know what happened. I never saw him there. Did she tell you he had hit her or beaten her? Is she the VR? Yes, thank you. Did you ever see during the time you were there for photographs of V in the house, at Epstein's house? I don't think so. Did you ever see photographs? Something was redacted here, interestingly. It must have his motion must have got granted because I feel like there was something redacted. I don't think so. At the time you were employed by Mr. Epstein, it wasn't redacted, just wasn't entered into court record. Do you know what he installed sometime after you left? At the time you were employed by Mr. Epstein, were there any hidden cameras? The answer is no. Do you know if they were installed sometime after you left? Correct? I don't know. And then she says, wasn't there a camera involved in the incident in which you took money from Mr. Epstein? And then he admits, yes, but I don't know if he installed it or not. That's what he told me. But we settled completely out of court. I will pay you back. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. That was end of it. I understand. So you have no idea where the cameras were? No idea. Installed? I was never back at the house after that. Well, clearly you know there were hidden cameras because you were caught stealing money on a hidden camera. Do you recognize the name E, who was a friend of Miss Maxwell? E.T.? Yes. And was she English? Yes, English. She traveled all the time with them. I would say not 100%, but she traveled 60 to 70% of the time. So I'm clear, is it Annie? E. E.T. E or E? I'm not sure, thank you. All the minors' names are hidden behind these initials. Do you have any idea what her relationship with Maxwell was? I understand she was her assistant and that she will answer phones and that she will go shopping with her sometimes. Basically, they were friends. I don't think she was a massage therapist ever. I don't think she was ever a massage therapist. Do you know whether the young woman that you referred to as massage therapist came there to give massages to both Epstein and Maxwell? Yes. Do you know if E was ever included in the activity? I have no idea because they went upstairs. They shut all the doors. It was absolutely pitch black in the room. We never saw any massage done. Occasionally we saw massage. Like if Miss Maxwell wants massage by pool, I would set up the table by the pool. But other than that, they were regular massages. Do you know a young lady named C who would come to the home? C was also English. I don't know. I think I remember a C. And she was the one that came to give massages. Then he repeats the name over and over again. C, 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 C. When you deal with all these girls' names, I think C was, yes, she was a massage therapist. But I think she used to. I could be wrong. But I think she lived in New York. She traveled there. Then he says, do you know anyone named CF? No CF. Jean-Luc Bruhl. Jean-Luc was a guy. I know that. Did you know him? Yes, I know him. He was, matter of fact, I went to his house a couple of times with Mr. Epstein. He was a friend of Mr. Epstein. He was French. He was, as far as I know, he had a model agency in Miami. Do you know whether or not Mr. Epstein had any interest in his model agency? No idea. Did he ever come over for massages? He came to the house a couple of times. I think it might have been occasions where he did stay overnight. Move to strike is non-responsive to question. You indicated you had been to his home. His home in Palm Beach? No, he has a home in Miami Beach. DB sounds familiar. I cannot tell you for sure. There was Ryan Dion. Was there someone named Ryan Dion? No, it was a kid from New York. His name was Don Perry. Yeah, he traveled with Mr. Epstein. Yes. Now, when before the addition out back was there done? You said Cephs would stay back there sometimes. Uh-huh. In the blue room in the back, the one close to mine. Did you ever meet any of Mr. Epstein's family? His brother, for instance? Absolutely, yes. What was his brother's name? Mark Epstein. Would he come to visit regularly? He says regularly. but I was more involved with her mother. I took care of her mother, Mr. Epstein's mother. She was very ill lady. I don't know if she's still alive. I lost contact. How often would she come to visit? She didn't come to visit too often. She had an accident, very bad accident. She lost her trachea. She had a, how they call it, the thing they put them in the neck. A voice box? I don't know the technical name, right? But they opened her throat and she had this thing to talk, and she had to cover her throat to talk. She was more involved with, I was more involved with her than her own kids. I took her to Miami for an operation. I was there for the operation. And we have a lot of fun with her. I mean, she was a very good lady. Now, other than Mark Epstein, were there any other brothers and sisters? No, he only had a brother that I know of. He lives in New York. I knew he had a printing company, printing big logos, big movie production company. Matter of fact, my son, when he graduated, he went to work for Mark about a couple of months in New York as a trainee. I don't think he ever got paid. He was trying to learn the business from Mark. That was for a few months. How often would Mark Epstein come to Miami? Not too often. Not too often. You just said regularly. When he came, do you know, did he participate in the massages? The answer is no. Never. He did not, never. And how do you know that? Because it was never, I never told to set up massage rooms for Mark or his mother. They were not too close. Mark and Jeffrey Epstein are not close? I would say they were not. I don't think so. That was my opinion. Do you know the name Daniel Estes? No. Do you know the name Matt Groening? No. I think you mentioned Mr. Wexler. I believe so. You knew him early on? Yes. Did you work for him? Also, his mother. Worked for his mother in Palm Beach. Did you ever come over to Epstein's home frequently, occasionally? Did you ever participate in massages? No. Do you know if Wexler and Mr. Epstein were involved in any businesses together? I never knew what businesses he was involved with. I will completely shut off all businesses except for office, transfer of communication or faxes, but I have no idea of the relationship with other business partner. Did you ever have to deal with the office in New York with someone named Leslie, the secretary? Yes, I would call Leslie almost every day, or other secretaries. They live in New York. Basically, it came to a point where Mr. Epstein will call New York. New York would call me to do things for Mr. Epstein. He was on phone or busy or something, he would call the office and the office would send me an email or call me. Constant report with the office in New York. Did you in turn sometimes call New York to get messages to Epstein? Did you ever overhear Mr. Epstein talking with other people you would consider celebrities? Yes, I knew many celebrities. What celebrities did you understand that he spoke with? He spoke to? Yes. I don't know who he spoke to because I never listened to his conversation. I saw guests at house that were celebrities. What did you see at the house? Many. It was senators. Senator Mitchell, George Mitchell. It was Prince Andrew. It was Princess Sarah. Princess Sarah, the wife of Andrew, Sarah Ferguson. Yes, Sarah Ferguson. It was a couple, Mrs. Yugoslavia, Miss Germany. I don't know the names, but there were a lot of queens and other famous people that I can't remember. Very famous lawyer, I'm sure you know, Alan Dershowitz, who spent at the house a couple of times. He slept there. Princess Diane's? Does he mean Diana? Princess Diane's secretary. She stayed there for a week with her kids. We took care of her. Who else? Mr. Trump. Mr. Robert Kennedy Jr. Mr. Frederick Fekete. Who is that? Frederick Fekete, the famous hairstylist. I don't know who that is. Question, David Copperfield, the magician? No, I never saw him. You never saw him. Now, would the people you named, were all people you saw visiting the home? Then he says, yes, also Nobel Prize winners. I can't remember his name. It was old gentleman. He was Nobel Prize chemistry, I think, or mathematics. There was a couple of those. Also had one at the time at the house. It was a reunion of very Nobel Prize winners. But I don't know. They're not famous, I guess. I can't remember their names, but very important people. Was that at a dinner or reception? I think it was a lunch. President Clinton, did you ever? He interrupts. I met President Clinton on Mr. Epstein's plane and I think that was the last month just before I left. I met President Clinton in Miami at his plane. We drove to Miami. Do you know, was that a trip? Were they going to Africa? I hear about that, but it was not when I was there. So that was not the time that you drove. No, I was already out. And Kevin Spacey, did you ever meet him? No. I hear about it on news, but I never met him. Were Prince Andrew and Princess Sarah friends of Maxwell? Both of them. Both Maxwell and Epstein, yeah. Did they ever have massages? Then they were there. Prince Andrew did. I think Sarah was there only once for a short time. I don't think she slept there. I cannot remember. I think she was visiting Wellington and she came to the house and we met her. But Prince Andrew, yes, Prince Andrew spent weeks with us. Where would he sleep? In the main room, the main guest bedroom. That was the blue room. When would he come and stay during the time? Would he frequently have massages? I would say daily massages. They have daily massage. Oh my God. Was it sometimes more than one a day? I can't remember. He had more than one, but I think it was just massage for him. We set up tables. And do you have any recollection of VR coming to the house when Prince Andrew was there? It could have been. I'm not sure. Not sure when Mr. Dershowitz was visiting. How often did he come? He came pretty often. I would say at least 4 or 5 times a year. Dershowitz doesn't like Epstein and doesn't know anything about him, by the way. Totally innocent and is totally not guilty of anything. Dershowitz visiting frequently and staying, getting massages. How long would he stay typically? 2 to 3 days. Did he have massages sometimes when he was there? Yes. A massage was like a treat for everybody. If they want it, we call massage and they have massage. If they want it, we call massage and they have massage. Now, Mr. Trump had a home in Palm Beach, correct? He says, So he didn't stay there, did he? No, never. He would come for a meal. He would come for dinner. He never sat at table. He would eat with me in the kitchen. He would come have dinner. He never sat at table. He eat with me in kitchen. Did he ever have massages while he was there? No, because he has his own spa. Sure. Let's see. You said you set up massage tables and you would also set up the oils and towels. Yes, ma'am. I think I read one time you said they used 40 or 50 towels a day. That's correct. There was a tremendous amount of work in the house, especially laundry towels, because we have towels, piles of towels. They use in pool. There was a lot in pool. There were a towel and went to floor. We have to go and pick it up and wash it. So it was a lot of towels, yes. Did you ever, on occasion, go upstairs and clean up after massages? Yeah, Did you ever find any vibrators in that area? Yes. I told him yes. Oh, I guess this was already asked question. I'm not too familiar with names. There were big dildos, what they call big rubber things like that. I used to go and put my gloves on and pick them up and put them in sink, rinse it off, and put it in Miss Maxwell. Miss Maxwell had her closet. She had like a laundry basket. One of those laundry baskets they put laundry in. She had full of toys. That was me being professional, leaving the room ready for bed when he would come back to the room again. Okay, that happened a few times. Were other sex toys that you found in the area? No. Sometimes you mentioned she kept them in a basket in her closet. She kept them in her basket. She also had some videos there, and she had a costume there. I know that she bought it. She brought it with her. What kind of costume? I don't know. It was black and shiny. I never saw it on her. Was it leather? No, it was vinyl. But she was very, very fussy about touching any of that stuff. No other questions. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. And it continues, but I think I'll wrap it there. So, Ghislaine Maxwell has a dominatrix latex suit in her closet. Next to her basket full of sex toys that they make the fucking help clean up off the floor. Can you imagine they just leave it on the floor and tell them to go and clean up the mess after a massage? A massage in big quotation. That is disturbing stuff. I don't even know what to say to any of that. Just wild. Disturbing. But we'll pick up. I'm going to... I didn't even get through everything I had. I'm going to select more stuff. I think I'll finish it up in one last stream. Gonna go over the more salacious stuff and the celebrities. I'm gonna leave it more to the more salacious and celebrity stuff for the end, I think. Do a Finder stream, Persip. I will do the Finder stream. Eventually. I'm gonna have to recollect myself. That was like thousands and thousands of pages. And I'm gonna have to refresh myself a little bit. I know I have a lot of stuff selected already that I put aside. Maybe I could even just read my own work in the farms. But I do appreciate everybody coming out for this strange stream. If you're interested about the Epstein stuff and want to actually go through the court filings, that's what I'm doing. I'm working through them very slowly. Of course, I left a lot of them out. A lot of the filings are reiterations or different perspectives of the same events. And while I would recommend reading them, I don't think it's conducive to a stream. I could be reading for like 5 days straight, honestly. And of course, I could read much faster without having to actually talk it all out. So I appreciate you guys coming out. I'll do probably one more stream on this, going through the more recent filings and stuff. I had to work my way through. It's important to read everything and get a clear picture of what exactly is going on. Which I think, I'm pretty thorough. And thanks for listening to this for 4 hours. If you're listening for 4 hours, you're crazy, but thank you for coming out. And thank you. Good night.